All right, now we're gonna check out Owen Benjamin and Flat Earth Dave and some Crow 777.
It's just, I have a little issue with people that can't do it, people that can't see it. And, hey, listen, you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But if you want to talk about it and you don't know what you're talking about, that's where I get a little crazy.
What's ironic is we have a vernacular term that we have all used all our lives, which basically means flat Earth, sea level. Yeah, we've been using it. It's one day I was sitting there doing something. I realized words have meaning. What's sea level? It describes this realm, is what it does. And
what is airplane? Airplane.
People who invented the term or they knew what they were describing. And by the way, I still don't know to this day how people who are so well educated and logically minded can get by the water if it's not level, it's curving.
Yeah, curving water. Yeah, and another thing is just how many flat Earth maps there are at the UN and places like that. Yeah. I don't know if they're pokes in the eye or if it's like their inner knowing just trying to scream out subconsciously. I don't know because I don't always know. I'm starting to not think that these people are aware or conscious enough to be funny. I don't know, but who knows? Maybe they do just know. But they have like perfect flat Earths everywhere in the UN. It's like they even have one that shows outer lands that looks kind of like the moon, and that's hanging on the wall at the United Nations.
Wait a minute, hold on. We were
with us. What is it? With a pole and two snakes around it. Snakes. That's a great mascot to have. Snake.
For evidence that one that you saw is actually on the wall, and that we just hear a claim. There's no proof that it's on the wall, but that's a new map. It was created on some YouTube channel, and we have no evidence that it's in the UN. One that just came out recently, like in the last couple of weeks, right?
Oh yeah, well, somebody told me that I trusted, so that's just
yeah. So
the UN logo is a flat Earth map.
Absolutely,
so that's why
100%.
That's why I didn't.
The UN are flat earthers.
I didn't feel weird. I felt like that checked out because literally the UN map is actually a flat Earth map with a ring around it. So that's why I'm like, oh yeah.
With 33 divisions, wouldn't it be ironic if that little map shows a third of our realm?
Yeah. Well, the Prague map is
clock.
Yeah, that's an interesting map, or that clock in Prague. And I used to live in the Czech Republic. I don't remember the clock. I've looked at the clock, but I didn't look at it with knowing what I know now.
Well, so it's been redone. Dave, do you know all about the Prague clock?
I do know about it, and I know that they changed the graphic behind it.
Right. It was burned or refurbished more than once. But I think what I suspect is true, and this is my gut and a little bit of research, but not enough to call it a fact. It's not a fact. I suspect the Game of Thrones dealt with what the Prague clock is showing us when they kept saying, hey man, winter is coming. We don't know when it's going to get here, and we don't know how long it's been. There was one winter that was hundreds of years long, and our ancestors say there was a winter that was thousands of years long. Yeah. So what the Prague clock does is in the small center offset circle where the hands of the clock came out is the realm we know. What I suspect is that is the path of the spiraling sun of moon as it goes through the larger realm, which is the larger circle, which would mean if there's only one sun and moon, that as it moves, whatever's left behind freezes and regenerates as it thaws other places as it goes around. But just the lunar information that was built into the original clock shows how much further along in natural law they were than we are now.
Yeah, I think that's what happens because people talk about the Ice Age, and they'll do the globe and make it just look like ice just, covered the realm and no one knows why, or, blah, blah, blah. I absolutely think that it's a circle of life and sun and moon that just keep moving around, and wherever it is not at is where it freezes. And there's like,
that's fact, just look at nature, as soon as it becomes winter when the sun is further away, Everything dies, you know. And then when the sun comes back, it comes alive. It comes alive.
Miles of glacier ice, you know?
Well, theoretically, an ice age would mean that water is very scarce, right? Because most of it would be bound up in ice.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what's going on now. They want you to buy global warming, which means there's less ice, which means
Global
there's more
hoaxing.
available water.
You know, and if that
It's
is
called
if
global hoaxing. That's what it's called. Global hoaxing.
that is how the world works, you don't have to worry about getting through thousands of years of an ice age. You just migrate with the pond. You migrate with the pond all the way around. Your ancestors just migrate around.
I think it moves. I mean, if it moves like a clock moves or like natural thing moves, it's probably moving right now. It just keeps moving.
Well, it would have to just gradually, but that what could be, we're not allowed to reach the outer edges. We're blocked by treaties and warships and this Antarctic idea. If you could get to those ideas, conceivably.
Dude, there are places in your country that you're not allowed to go to. You know what I mean? There are even here in Sweden, they have banned like certain cars, gasoline cars, to drive in certain streets.
You would either be able to see thawing that wasn't there or freezing that wasn't there if you could get to the edge. Probably in the east, you would see the freezing. Probably in the west, you would see the thawing, if I had to venture a guess, and that's a total guess.
And I just released it was from another channel. I just had it on the app. It was somebody was using the maritime ship tracking system, and they found several ships deep inside the ice of Antarctica where it's supposedly land. Like, well, why are those ships there? And they had lots of information about it. Like, we don't even know if Antarctica is frozen like they told us. I mean, we know right off of Santiago, Chile, those islands there, Rothschild Island and the rest of them, that's where people go and visit. Well, that's a little island. That's like pulling up to Long Island and going, oh yeah, I see California. You know?
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like you don't see anything. You don't know anything.
What do you think's there?
What do I think is,
Like down past the area that we're allowed to go in Antarctica?
you know, my guess, and again, anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is pure speculation. I think that there's more lands, more continents. I think that there's more worlds with other
So do
suns.
I.
That's something that I like to entertain, and I want the right to go explore there. I want the ability to get airships again and go explore there. That's the easiest, simplest way to do it. But they've demonized airships, you know, with the Hindenburg, and NASA's taking control of all the helium, and you know, and they don't allow you to go there for, you know, I don't know, we can't disturb the penguins and the ice.
Well, the penguin story has changed. When I was young, the only place you could go for certain penguins was Antarctica, and then they were caught migrating as they do every year up on some of the subtropical islands. So they changed the narrative around that. But
I
Fortune was telling me-
wonder if some of these animals are, you know, made in laboratories outside of this flat Earth. You know what I mean? Because penguins do look weird. Are they like some experiment that they made, like some hybrid creature, and then they just release them over there in the Antarctic or whatever? You know what I mean? I mean, they can clone people, for God's sakes, man. You don't think they can make their own animals?
me about God, I'm not going to be able to, is it Challenger? The Challenger expedition? Does that sound right, Dave? Down to that part of the world?
Go ahead.
Well, he was saying that they claimed it took so many hundreds and hundreds of days to circumnavigate a certain area, which proved that it was well beyond. But we already know there's plenty of accounts of ships. The further south they go, the less the navigation we've been handed works. Ships get lost all the time from having gone too far south and not realizing that your latitude or your longitude lines spread out wider the further south you go. And so they switch over to sextants and things like that. And they say, hey, man, I should have went this many miles, but I'm still not there. But what Fortune was saying is it took, I forget what he said, over 1,000 days, the coastline they went around down there. I think it's the Challenger expedition.
Yes, Josh R just said yes. Challenger looks right. People are saying yes.
Crow, to your comment about the penguins, They say that these penguins they can travel like up to, I think it's 600 miles or something like that. So if you look at Antarctica to the tip of Santiago, well, that's where the penguins are. And that is within their swimming range, but they're also found in South Africa, and they're also found in New Zealand or in Australia. And if you look at this flat Earth map, those are all within range of the Antarctic islands or Antarctic shoreline. So another thing, that's how far they go. Well, on a globe map, those South Africa and Australia are too far away for the penguins to travel, but they're there.
So the real problem is the idea of what's around us. And what I suspect is true is that Antarctica is ice and hard to get into. We know the weather gets worse, and at least in parts of the year, the further south you go, which makes it difficult. But if the Prague-Plach supposition is correct, then what that means is that the outer rim in any direction should be frozen because the sun is not heating it.
Yeah, unless, of course, there's another sun that we're unaware of. Years ago, I saw some webcam images of Antarctica, and who knows what we're seeing. But it looked like another sun or another planet, which was in Antarctica. So, maybe these ponds are super close together. And again, we're just spitballing here. We're trying to figure it out. But here's the thing. Whatever layout we're talking about, the flat Earth, multiple ponds, more continents, whatever, that's all scientifically, physically possible versus the impossibleness of being a rock surrounded by water, surrounded by air, adjacent to a void, flying through infinite space.
And that's the funny thing with globetards. They perfectly believe in an endless nonsense vacuum space, but they can't believe that there is an endless amount of terrain on the plane. You know what I mean? Cognitive dissonance, right? That's what it's called. But what was I going to say? I had something to say to that. Yeah, the sun. I've seen China's artificial sun launch in a video. I've seen it a couple of months ago. So if they can create an artificial sun that it was 1,000 times hotter than the sun, then yeah, they can create more suns outside of our little flat world.
Doesn't work. Scientifically impossible.
Well, you see, nature ends at space, right? Because nature abhors a vacuum.
Right.
I like to collect propaganda because they always make the biggest mistakes ever when it first happens. And this is a Life magazine that someone sent me on August 22nd, 1969. Talk about synchronicity. It came on August 22nd. I was reading the exact, it's what Neil Armstrong said the month after. The moon had been waiting for us, and then Buzz Aldrin, lunar dust smelled like gunpowder. How could you possibly smell in a vacuum? Michael Collins, I rattled around in my mini cathedral. And one thing that they talked about was when they were playing catch, it was slow and it was like being in molasses, like being underwater. Whereas in a vacuum, like if you're playing baseball in Denver, you can hit more home runs because there's less atmosphere. And if you're 1/6 gravity and you have no atmosphere, the ball would actually fly for miles as fast as you could possibly, like way faster and way less slow than on the earth. So they were describing being underwater, and those type of things all get scrubbed. But that's why I like to collect these awful magazines from right when it happened, because they make their biggest mistakes and then they weasel them down over time.
And sell them with a mini skirt. I got to ask you, Dave, how many continents are pictured in that image?
I didn't count. I'll guess 33.
I was going to say, I found in an old Buddhist scripture long before I was in the public eye, the claim that there was an original Buddhist map, and it claimed that there were 33 continents. And if that were true, then it would start to echo with the divisions in the UN map, 33 divisions.
Hey, Weiss, Sherlock Bear says, why is it impossible for us to be on a ball flying through space? You want to check that one?
Yeah, because, so think about this. You're on a round rock, a lumpy rock, and it's surrounded with flat water. We don't even worry about that. And that's surrounded by air, pressure. You can't have air pressure without a barrier, adjacent to a vacuum. And the only arguments the globe, occultists have is it's a pressure gradient. It gets thinner and thinner and thinner until there's nothing, which is ridiculous. Okay. you know, in a tank of propane or a tank of oxygen or whatever, it's thicker on the bottom. It's liquid on the bottom, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner to the top. That pressure is all contained. Okay, so you know, on a rock adjacent to a vacuum, the gravity holds the air down, which means that I can't drink with a straw because the weak low pressure of my mouth and lungs can pull water and air up and away from Earth. But the Tor 17 vacuum of space, which we can't even recreate here, can't pull the air away because gravity is holding it down.
Yeah, right. When you suck the fluid from that cup with your mouth, are you stronger than this bullshit balls gravity?
That's retarded. Sorry.
It is retarded.
The more you look at it, the more retarded it is.
Retarded.
Gravity, just to be clear, gravity is a theory based on a theory that has never been proven. And I made up a law for myself, which is about theories. You can see that if you're interested with the work I've done. And basically what my law that I use for myself to help me think is that a theory that lasts a long time becomes less valuable every day and then tends to be used as propaganda in support of scientism, because a theory should only be in place long enough to either be proven or discarded or found usable in some respect.
That's true. Yeah, gravity can't be measured, experimented with. And some people will just immediately say, oh, you're so stupid for not believing in gravity. Don't you know? Aren't you educated? It's like, yeah, they haven't actually applied the scientific method to it at all.
It's a theory based on a theory. Actually.
Yeah, and it's just based on observations. They're like, well, then I'll throw you out of a plane and then we'll see who fucking believes in gravity. And I'm just trying to accept that there's people that just aren't thinking the way I do, and that's okay. And, you know, when things hit the fan, I will decide if I'm going to give them goat milk.
You can have an express line for flat earthers for your goat milk, right? They get to cut the line.
Yeah, just anybody that didn't just call me stupid for pointing out obvious shit. Those are the people that are going to be at the back of the goat milk line.
Hey,
greatest of all time milk.
When they make fun of flat earthers for not believing in gravity, gravity is a theory. You know, the high priest of scientism, Neil deGrasse Tyson, says he doesn't know what it is. They have to make up 96% of it, saying it's dark matter, dark energy, right? And they say that the electrostatic force is 10 to the 20th power, which is a number that doesn't even exist. It's like so many times stronger than gravity. So let's pretend gravity is real. I drop something, okay? Right? It goes down because of buoyancy and density, but the thing that's telling me it's down, is it the weak force of gravity or is it the proven stronger force of electrostatics, right? I mean,
yeah.
And we can prove these things. You know, with MIT came out with an airplane that just doesn't have any moving parts. It just uses electrostatics. Now, is this thing defying gravity, or is it just using the electrostatic force, which is way stronger than gravity? Claiming that gravity made Neil's microphone drop to the ground is complete and total delusional.
Well, I mean, I used to be in the religion of science without realizing it because I didn't know it was a religion. Did you know that I had a physics? You should go back and re-listen to this stuff. It was called Surely You're Joking, and it was a physics podcast at Caltech with nuclear physicist PhDs, and I interviewed the guy who did the quote unquote Mars lander and all this stuff. And I had the biggest epiphany, and I believed all these guys. I interviewed Kip Thorne and all these guys that are getting Nobel Prizes for gravitational wave theory and all this. And I was more like the funny Paul Abdul character in the interview. Not Paul Abdul at the time. I was the one that was just making the lighthearted joke about it, and they were getting into the nitty gritty. But looking back, I'm more intelligent than they are because they don't apply science to anything they're saying. But the big moment for me that started the ball rolling, that allowed me to even see flat Earth or any of this stuff, was when they were trying to explain to me dark matter and dark energy, and their reasoning was. So I'm like, so where is dark matter? I was fascinated by it. They're like, the universe is 90% matter that you cannot measure or see or feel, but it is there all around us. And I'm having all these theories, and I'm like, man, if only we could see this dark matter. And I go, so how do you know it's there if you can't measure it? Quote unquote. They go, because if it wasn't, we'd be wrong. And I'm like,
there it is.
I'm like, wait, what? Yeah.
Science says you have a theory, and if it's proven wrong, if you prove it wrong, throw it out and get another theory. But now science just goes, oh no, we'll just make up 96% shit to throw it in there and then say it's right.
And don't question it.
Only evidence of dark matter is that they're on the presupposition that their theory has to be right, because the ramifications of that in science would be so catastrophic. So they've come up with an idea that 96% of the known universe is something you can't measure, see, feel, or touch. Because if it wasn't there, they'd be wrong, and they know they're not wrong.
You know what dark matter actually is? I'll tell you what it is right now. It's ether. It is the idea of ether, the permeating idea that connects and however you want it, that makes all this possible for the movement and everything else. They did a tell in Marvel's Thor movie where they turned the ether into a scary red thing that the Dark Elves wanted, and it gets into you and it's poisonous. It's the idea of ether. And by the way, at one point, Einstein just said out loud, there is no ether. And he gave no experiment, no reason. And the reason is because Michelson and Morley had proven that there was ether. And they equated it that if you went down to the ocean to see a wave, guess what? There's got to be water or you ain't seeing a wave. And they equated what they had shown. And they did it with the speed of light. And they also proved that the Earth was not spinning with their light speed. And they sent Einstein out, their lapdog, who always wore the same suit, probably because they filmed him for a week or something. But it's all laughable. Let me try to explain how bad off we are in mainstream science. There was a guy named Tycho Brahe back in the day. And by the way, he's one of my heroes. That man spent his life observing, actually going out under brutal conditions sometimes to observe the stars. And what he did for us all was proved observation methods where he could prove down to a fraction of an arc second that, look, this star is here. And we can go do this again in a week and prove. And so his whipping boy was Kepler. So the guy we got was not Tycho Brahe, who gave us an accurate, what I accept as an accurate model of our so-called solar system, came from Brahe, was later again echoed out by Rudolf Steiner with very little variation. And I arrived at an idea like that before I ever realized either one of them did it. But here's the thing. We got Kepler and we got Copernicus. Copernicus said, as his stuff was taken, I never observed, you know, this is all theory, right? That's what Kepler said, or Copernicus said. Kepler inherited or stole Brahe's work, didn't even know how to use his instruments, and the only time he observed was under Brahe's tutelage, and he's the other authority that we got in the world. So in other words, these are the lesser value people that didn't even observe.
Oh yeah, and you get it all the time of people saying stuff like, well, I can prove the Earth is a spinning ball, just look at the planets. Why wouldn't we be like them? If just go to Walmart and get a telescope and you go, Big Bear, you fucking idiot, you go look up at the planet and you'll see that it's a spinning ball. So they've never looked at the planets. The planets don't look like spinning spears of rock. They look more, I don't know.
Luminaries.
Yeah, Crow has looked at the stars and the sun and the moon for like, what, a few thousand hours? Like, what is it?
Over half a decade, day and night.
Yeah, it doesn't look like what they say it's supposed to look like. Sometimes they look like sound waves underwater, some of these luminaries. They don't look like rock spinning anywhere. And then when you look at the moon and they say, well, Big Bear, you fucking moron. Don't you know that the moon is just spinning at the exact same speed as the Earth? That's why we only see one side of it. Oh, go back to school. You half a brain, blah, blah. The amount of abuse and
the moon is not spinning.
No. The amount of abuse and personal attacks, people feel completely comfortable laying at somebody that doesn't believe something that's absolutely stupid is mind-blowing. And I'm not looking for kid gloves or victim consciousness, but it's just something that people should think about, that just me and Crow and Weiss and people like that are actually accurate. I'm sure there's things that we're a little wrong about or we're speculating or whatever, but what we're talking about is accurate. And look at how people treat people that talk that way. And you know what? I got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to go to your fucking Thanksgiving anymore. I don't care what you think of me. And those people are all now popping pills and sitting in their little apartment waiting.
Fuck those people. You know what I mean? Fuck them. If they treat you like they say you're an idiot or shit like that for you know, questioning shit, fuck those people. You know what I mean? You don't need those people. They're garbage. You know? Absolute sheep garbage.
For the Agenda 21 angels to take them away. And that's what they get. It's like, and it didn't come out of nowhere. Like, there's no victims, only volunteers. Like, they have been abusive to people and condescending and mean-spirited. And, you know, I'm to the point where I'm like, fuck them.
Is that supposed to be Mars, David?
That's Mars. It might be a little out of focus, but it's
It is.
definitely not, you know, a dusty, dirty ball. So if Mars was what they told us, right? And we've seen the pictures from the rover, which are nonsense. It's a desert. It's a non-reflective desert. Now, if you're on Mars, you're farther away from the sun. So our sun on Mars is smaller than our sun. You have to imagine that smaller sun is lighting up Mars. That non-reflective surface is reflecting that light back to Earth. And we see it as bright as stars in the sky. No,
Nonsense.
we see it
with Pluto. Yeah.
So let me tackle what you're showing there. You're actually, it's providing that is Mars, which the color is right. I thought it might be Antares, the heart of the scorpion, but Mars is slightly out of focus. And I filmed this way on purpose to show the cymatic energy pattern emanating. That is not a rock, but here's the strange thing about Mars. If you want to accept the mainstream, they're going to tell you it's 93 million miles or whatever they'll tell you. I don't know how far Mars. It's not nearly as far as supposedly 500 million miles of Jupiter. Any given day of the week, when Jupiter is high off the horizon, I can get a perfect focus or damn near perfect, depending on the seeing. I can see the red dot. I can see the little so-called moons. But with Mars, which is a hell of a lot closer according to them, you can almost never get a good focus. So how can that be? This thing that is much closer to me by their measuring, you can never quite get that beautiful focus. Now, I do have pictures. Now, here's another thing. What you're showing there, David, there is a guy down in South America who filmed Jupiter.
That shit looks like a cartoon.
Night after night after night. And it's not that detail, but it shows similar gaseous activity. But again, if you take it slightly out of focus, you will see that there's a cymatic energy pattern that almost exactly resembles something underwater, just to be clear.
And Cucumber just asked for, yeah, you can super chat questions at entropystream.live/app/Owen Benjamin Comedy. And Cod, hit me with any relevant super chats or questions. Thank you.
Let me, you know what, I'll send you guys a link. I'll show you my old Mars footage, which is one of the best focuses that I was ever able to get.
While you're pulling that up, you know, the people that get so triggered that don't know their own model, because if they knew it as well as we knew it, the heliocentric model, they would be flat earthers. They'd be anti-globers because the model's so stupid. But they call us science deniers when we're the ones that are using science, right? They tell us Polaris is 433 light years away, right? If you compared it to the sun size, at a light week away, you could not see it. Scientifically impossible to see it, excluding the brightness issue, just the angular size, and that's a light week. 433 light years. The difference of that is unfathomable.
And it's ridiculous to consider that your eyes can see something that far away in the first place.
Right. And light doesn't travel forever and maintain its brightness. It spreads out.
Here it is.
And it gets thin.
Let me send this to, no, I'm going to send it to you guys.
Send it to Weiss, because Weiss is better at tech stuff than me. I don't know.
There you go. It's in the chat.
All right.
Now, what you're going to see here is guaranteed. I cross my heart and swear to God, this is authentic footage of Mars shot by me, and I'll talk you through what's there.
Want me to just share the screen?
If you could put up the video, however you want to do it.
Oh, is it better if you share it? Because I'm not sure how you're sharing it on your screen.
I'll figure this out. How do I, is there a chat?
If you go on the bottom of the Zoom panel, it says share screen, and then select the window that you opened that up in.
Hello, all.
Okay, so you want me to turn the volume off it?
Sure.
Okay, let me add this right now, and then we will just keep on.
This is how you know things. You go out and you use your God-given abilities to observe. That's the only way we can know things, for sure.
All right, I'm hitting play right now. Mars, the moon, and a special thank you to UFO Planet. All right,
but you have to hit share screen on Zoom.
Share screen on Zoom.
Down the bottom in the middle where all the icons are.
Screen.
Share screen. App, whiteboard, mute, stop video, security, participants, chat. Share screen, got it. Okay, so let's share the screen. I'm just gonna click this and
then select the window.
Wow, I'm really learning a lot today. So that.
Okay, so what you're going to do is just click forward a little bit on the timeline, and we're not going to look at the end of this. It's an ode to a place where, when I shot this, I was still questioning whether aliens exist. This is just there. There's Mars right there.
Was that the moon there?
That's the moon shot through my telescope.
Okay.
And actually go down and make the video resolution 720 or 1080 on YouTube. HD. See where it says HD? Yeah, click that.
720.
No, 1080. Yeah, that's
you had it. It was on 1080.
Okay, so click up till you see the little dot that's Mars in the timeline.
All right, so we'll go to here.
Right there. Yep. So this is typically how you see Mars on any given night when the seeing isn't beautiful and perfect, but what you notice is there's a little reddish hue on top and a little bluish hue on the bottom. Now now you see the little white, that is the so-called polar cap. Science will tell you that's the polar cap. But you can also see a dark region. But here's the problem. If I compared Jupiter or Saturn on any given night, it would make this focus and this resolution look like crap. Mars is an odd duck.
But wait a minute, Crow, maybe your scope isn't as good as Copernicus's was, because he saw incredible detail with his hand-polished glass telescope.
Well, it's hard to know exactly what he was using, but my point being, Okay, so there is, I believe we're still on Mars. That is without any eyepiece. That's just the resolution of my scope with a camera on it. And what I'm showing you here is I'm not tracking. See how the planet is moving in the sky? That's because my scope is not tracking it. My scope is pointed in one direction. You are looking at the movement of that luminary. Click forward a little bit, Owen. I don't know if there's anything more here.
All right, let's go forward.
No, that's it. You could dump it. I don't think there's anything more worth looking at. There might have been a lunar wave in the beginning up there. I'm not sure if that was an old lunar wave footage.
Let's
unshare the screen.
We're going to figure this out. You are sharing screen, unshare screen. This is a good time. So if I go here and we say, how do I not share the screen?
You at the very top, there should be an unshare button.
Stop sharing.
There you go. Stop sharing.
You're back.
And if you want to do one more thing, if you click on the 3 dots and crow's box and say, don't show non-video participants.
Huh?
If you click the 3 dots in the corner of crow's screen, right next to the mute button,
yep.
And it says, is there an option, don't show non-video participants?
Hide non-video participants.
There you go. Do that.
It'll give you guys more screen.
That way we don't have a blank crow screen.
All right. Everybody's having a good time.
Just jumping back to the maps. I'm not saying this is a real map. I'm saying this is a possibility that, we live here and there's other little pieces of the plane, a planete, if you will, a piece of the plane.
Biden sucks.
These could be the other planetes.
Sup, Vinny?
Hey, what's up, Ash?
Fortune pointed out that planet used to mean small plane.
YouTube.
Yeah. I figured that out too, because when you think about French, like baguette and anything with et is a small of whatever you're saying.
Yeah, so we want the right to go explore.
Which we were born with, so our rights are being violated.
Yeah, let's talk predictions for what's coming. What do you guys think? Weiss, how's New York?
New York, people are thinking, oh, it's over. They've taken off the restrictions and stuff, but no, they're still having, everyone's still required to get the thing in the arm and to.
This is
all
a
the
couple
stuff.
of
There's
months
still people
ago.
being fired. The teachers are have a stay, which I believe is coming up next week or something, or very soon, where they're all fired if they're not jabbed up. So it's a mess here. So I think they do what they do. They push as far as they can until we're ready to fight, and then they pull back.
Biden
Wait,
sucks.
get everyone used to it, and they
Damn
push.
liberals.
And think of where we are now. If 3
Cancer,
years ago
man.
I said we're going to be at this place, and people would be like, "No friggin' way,
Cancer.
no one." Allowed
Biden
that.
sucks.
Push, hold.
They ruined
wait.
that word.
Push, hold, wait. Right?
Yeah, they ruined liberal and woke, because woke used to mean you're awake. Why the fuck are they called woke? And liberal. You're not liberal. You want to be a slave, But you know how I see it? It's the sign of the devil. Takes whatever and inverts it. They take the word liberal and latch it onto themselves, but they're really promoting the opposite.
And that's what they're doing. So prediction, I think that nothing is set in stone. And if people like you keep doing what you're doing, and people keep waking up, and people keep, what I say is unplugging from the heliocentric matrix, right? Unplug from the system of government, then they just dissolve. We just need enough people to say no, not even violently, just like, no, I'm out. Look what you're doing. Look what many of us are doing. And if we do that, that makes a difference. So, people that say, there's so much crap going on in the world, why are you focusing on flat earth? Because everything winds back to where your feet are planted. If you don't know where your feet are planted, you can be manipulated. You can be pushed and spun around in space, and you could be turned around, and you could be lied to about anything. That's why I think this is the most important topic of our time.
Yeah, and I think it's important also because it's a brainwashing tactic of giving over your free will to an authority, because people can say whatever they want. It does not look like you're on a spinning ball. There's no evidence with your eyes, your hands, or ears, or anything that you're on a spinning ball. So
Never been.
to accept that worldview means that you're putting another entity above yourself when it comes to discernment. And once you do that, then they got you. And so that's why it is important. I wouldn't have been ostracized and called insane and stupid and crazy by people that I don't even respect anymore. But it's like, if it wasn't for the fact it's important, because if you look out and you're like, this does not look like a spinning ball, and then some asshole in a bow tie with a needle in his hand says, no, we're on a spinning ball, and you say, okay, you're smarter than me, I will give you authority over me. That's a brainwashing tactic. It's so preposterous to think that you're on a spinning ball that it would be the equivalent of if you're like with a woman and you come home and you have lipstick all over your neck and you still have a condom on your dick, and you're like, and you're like, oh no, no, I didn't cheat on you. And she'd be like, okay. Like if she gave up all her discernment, where it's like you could come home with a receipt to a whorehouse in your pocket. And you're like, oh no, that's a new restaurant. And she calls and it's like a whorehouse. And you're like, the numbers must have changed. And she's like, okay, that's literally how fucked up NASA is. That's not even exaggeration. It's like, oh yeah, we didn't go to the moon. We destroyed the technology because we had to tape over the videotapes, and we're going every 4 years, but we never do. And
Ridiculous.
Elon Musk is going to the Mars, and just shut up, And so if someone takes that deal, then it is a form of mental slavery. And
if that was legit, if somebody destroyed the technology to go back to the moon, why didn't they make that a big thing publicly? Like, some fucking terrorist destroyed the technology to go back to the moon or whatever. Like, who did that? Who destroyed the technology? You know what I mean? Did that person get fired? Is it still around?
Here's the craziest thing is if you're still like into the globe and all that, it doesn't even matter if it's a globe or not. It's you have a right to decide. Like you don't have to put your authority into people that are actively trying to kill and sterilize you. At this point, you at least should have some reprehension for science, like some modicum of like, you sure? They just told you to inject graphene into a little kid's arm for cold and flu season. Like if at this point you're not willing to pull back some authority, you're going to have a rough ride. And so that's why it matters. And so when people are like, you fucking idiot, like the abuse is crazy how people, because they say that I can be hard on people or I can fun at people and all that. Not on the level that the average person thinks they can do to anybody who calls himself a flat earther. It's nuts and it's not deserved. And I find it, if you really think about how abusive people are, it's nuts. But they're only going to bite themselves in the ass because they're giving away authority to depopulationists.
It's crazy. There's what I call anti-flat earthers out there. These are the people that, whether they're paid or not, or just possessed, who knows, that are out there literally fighting for our enslavement, fighting for, just to protect their globe. And there's other people that are just brainwashed from birth. I was brainwashed from birth. You were brainwashed from birth. And those are people that just haven't had the courage to go look and have allowed other people like the anti-flat earthers to divert them. I have allowed Google results when searching flat earth to divert their attention.
Nor are they brave enough to go against something that is unacceptable. In other words, they would rather go with what they know the mainstream will accept than fight for something that might be true.
Sheep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and they're only doing themselves. Denmark Bear just said, who's a doctor in Denmark, just had 2 heart attacks in 2 days in my shop.
Oh,
Like people are dropping dead right now.
let me, you asked for a prediction. I'm going to look in what I do in life. I have now, and I know Owen has this too. I've met people that I never would have met in my walk of life. The train wreck has already happened. In my view, we're waiting for the body count. It's going to happen in slow motion. Very soon, you're going to see digital currency come. When digital currency is implemented and the main form, we will have lost more freedom than the entirety of any time that I'm aware of. What's going to go on beyond that was proven by Papa Bush when they put him on network news splicing, I don't know, corn genes or something. Then they took what Monsanto, I think it was Monsanto, had done to the Supreme Court, who told them, yes, you have a patented product that modified the genes. You can now claim ownership of the thing you have modified. That is no different than what they have claimed the shot does. By the way, from people who are in the know, you can be scanned and they will know instantly whether you have had the shot. The movie that I think blows their dream into your face the hardest was one by small Peter Dinklage, I Think We're Alone Now, which ironically, I was telling Fortune this, and he says, Young Crow, it was not Tiffany who wrote that song. And I said, well, who wrote it, Fortune? He said, it was back in the 50s, I believe, by a band called the Zodiacs. And I was like, oh, just go figure. But it shows, and there's a day and a time given in that movie, which ring weird for me. I think it's a Tuesday at 3 p.m. for some reason, but that's where I think we're headed. But this is not written in stone. If everybody began to stand up and grab a little bit of their adult authority back.
I agree with that. Like, it's not written in stone that we're going to be enslaved, but we are heading there. Like David Icke used to say, like, there is a plan, okay? And these motherfuckers are working on this plan daily, every day, every hour. If this plan doesn't get derailed, we will be enslaved. That's just how it is. Because they're working on this plan and we're not doing anything to stop it. Therefore, it will come to fruition. But I don't think it's set in stone. because otherwise they wouldn't be so scared and censoring everybody and shit. You know what I mean? If they already had it in the bag, they wouldn't need to censor. So therefore, it's not set in stone just yet. But there will be a time where it's over. I always say this. There's a reason the word what is it? Past of no return. You know, going past of no return. That means it's over. You know, the point of no return. Shit. The point of no return is there for a reason, and there is a time where we've gone past the point of no return, where they will enslave us, but we're not there yet.
Whole thing could collapse overnight. They're never going to quit trying, though. We know that much is true.
Yeah, the beauty is I think that multiple things can happen simultaneously, where as that happens, other people can reject it. Because I know there are people that want that, and they'll do anything to get it. And so that's why I know it will happen. Like the digital currency and the endless shots and the claims on the genetics and all that. Because a lot of people want to be slaves. And Kanye West said this publicly, and then they conveniently reprogrammed him. He said slavery is a choice. And of course, all the
Biden sucks.
consciousness people.
These
were like,
rants
"How
are
dare
sick.
These rants.
you, chains, 400 years, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, it's a choice. And a lot of people do not want to admit that they want to be slaves because it alleviates them from thought, from responsibility, from anything.
Yes, the lefties wants to be slaves because you can say it like this. If one side is lazy, it has to be the left. Just look at how they look, just physically. You know what I mean? They look like blobs. You know what I mean? You know, they don't take care of themselves, all blobby and shit. You know? That's a sign of laziness, you know? People on the right are not that way. Of course, there are some blobs on the right, too. But, you know, here and there. But the majority of the left, they look blobby or, you know, unhealthy, all kinds of wacky shit. So they're lazy. So just like Owen says, they want a slave owner.
Biden sucks.
You know?
I feel that Kanye is based, but his wording sometimes is just horrible.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, he's that type of a person. I'm the same way, you know. My wording is not the best either. But you know what I mean? So the left, they want to be slaves under a slave owner that can just dictate everything to them because they don't want to think. They don't want to, you know. Obviously, the left don't want to think. If they did want to think, they wouldn't be leftists. You know what I mean? Nobody in their right mind, and I say that, the right mind would be a lefty. The right mind.
Home syndrome.
Yeah, I used to do a bit where I'm like, being a cult would be great. I never have to think about what to wear. It's every day. It's just the same robe. It's the robe. You know, and that's true. And that's a lot of these people are in a form of cult. And then there's going to be people that don't want to be slaves and they choose not to be slaves. And they won't be a part of it. And that's why the more people we can, it's not even just about waking people up. Because if people wake up to nothing, that can just be super depressing. And then they're just almost like they're aware of their slavery and they're just like sad. But if you form communities and you actually build stuff together, then there's no limits. You can have within America, you can have the population of France not participating in the hell, you know, and you can use the digital currency if you want to or not, kind of like your birth certificate. It can be a tool versus an enslavement thing. And you can use silver and you can barter and you can just reject it. I predict an entire industry will emerge of people that are willing to take the vaccine and buy and sell for other people. You know, I think that
I had never thought about that. That's a good one.
Oh yeah,
I'll take
Biden
one.
sucks.
I'll take one for
I
the
actually
team.
respect lefties more than I respect those I don't care about anything type.
I respect lefties more than I respect those that are like, I don't care about it. I get what you're saying, kinda. Because in a sense, the lefties, they stand for something, right? Is that what you're saying? and those who don't care, they don't stand for nothing. Is that where you're going? Yeah, I can understand that, but it would be better to say I don't respect either, though. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Will realm. So, because there was a story of this one gypsy who got like 100 vaccines.
But that was funny.
Biden sucks. I hate the agnostic types.
Like, I don't believe in anything. But that's funny. Taking one for the team. Taking jabs for the team.
Because he kept going in with different IDs and getting people their vaccine cards.
Oh man.
And this fucking gypsy is just still doing it. And I'm like, oh, there's a whole industry for that. There would be like Uber Eats or something for people that don't want to take the chip. And so then they're like, yeah, I'll do it. And then they just, because I got buddies that just don't care. They're like, yeah, give me a shot. Give me 20%. I'll do it. And so I see a lot of things emerging. And so, but yeah, I mean, do you guys
yeah, but you know what the problem with this is? Even if there was somebody that will, you know, have the microchip and everything and then tries to do something for the people who don't have the microchip, it won't be possible because they will sense that you are doing what you're doing. You know, cameras everywhere, sensors, shit and that, you know, shit, all kinds of shit, you know. You know, there was this episode in Black Mirror, I believe. It was about the social credit score. And in that, it showed that when you just walked past somebody, it senses who you're walking past, you know. And, you know, if you talk to somebody, it's going to listen in and you gotta, you know, track your phones or chip or whatever and see. And if it sees that you're talking to each other for longer than a couple of minutes, you're going to, you know what I mean? They will know everything. So this won't be possible, what he's talking about.
Think that Deagle report is going to be anywhere near accurate about all the death?
It's interesting. Yes. I believe they took it down, right?
They did take it down. Yeah.
They always, with all of these things that are up, that predict stuff, they always take it down just before it happens.
Well, the other thing I forgot to mention is right now we are provably in the wealth stripping phase of what's going on. And one of the ways you'll notice that this is going on is gold and silver, which a lot of people buy as the safety net in their life. They have plummeted. What they're doing is they're wealth stripping everybody everywhere. And so when you get broke, you have to sell your gold and silver back, which is at an all-time low. As soon as they bought back a lot of it, it'll go through the roof where people can't. But what the wealth stripping is queuing up for is UBI. And I know this from the highest authorities who sit in the actual meetings, that universal basic income is their wet dream, because that is ultimate control. When the powers that be pay for your existence, you have to listen to what they tell you.
And the lefties will love the universal basic income. You know, oh, I don't have to do anything. Just get a, you know, allowance like my parents used to give me. Nice. Yeah. We don't need to work. Everything, you know, gets fixed by itself. Food gets done by itself, you know. We can just play and protest and do crazy, sick gender stuff. You know, I can come up with a new gender for myself.
Idea.
Yeah, it's the ultimate control. and that's why even if you don't want to do something, you know, but the thing is, it'll also degrade the population where they're not as productive or efficient, because the most productive people, they do it because they love it or they want to. You can, you know, the most productive slaves are the free range slaves that don't know they're slaves. So once people are like under the yoke of UBI, where it's like, I don't want to wave a rainbow flag today, but damn it, I need my bread. Like that won't be effective. Like it'll work for a little while. That's why a lot of prophecy is that, you know, it's like 3.5 years of that, and then it'll collapse. But because it's like, you're not going to get, like, the best warriors are the ones that are like fighting for their families at home and freedom. To like threaten someone by turning their chip off or not getting food, I just think they get really alcoholic and drug addicted and depressed and not very effective.
You know, Owen, you were a huge step for me. You know, I grew up in Fairfield County, you know, college, corporate America, started my own company. And I had everything that we're supposed to do, the American dream. I was doing it all. And something is telling me to pull away from this. And I was talking to you, and you're like, just do it. Just leave. Just leave. It'll work out. And, you know, one thing that Flat Earth did for me was it brought me to the Creator. Okay. And I tell everybody, your journey with the Creator, that's your own personal journey. Because you can't be a Flat Earther and not know there's a Creator. You can be a globe earther, believe there's a creator, or not, or be on the fence. But
True.
so it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I left everything behind, all materialism, everything. I just
well too. Some people that leave everything, they're like, I left my job at Denny's. You left your own business where you were doing making some really good money.
Yeah. So
which for Jews is really hard to leave. So that's actually like
I did the same thing in 2008. I left corporate.
An older note, I grew up on a street with a guy who I'm still friends with who's a Jewish janitor, just so you know.
Really?
Yes,
What?
He's a little slow. He's on the spectrum. He's like on the
Jewish
spectrum a little.
janitor.
On the spectrum.
And how dare
that
you
possible?
call me accurately a free-range slave?
That's some questions here. So we got a quick question for all three. Can flight times and distances be measured on a flat Earth map? I'm on the journey myself, and I just really want to figure it out. I've sent Weiss a video about it. Thanks.
Yeah. So let me go with that. On the app, frequently asked questions button, hit Southern flights and watch those videos. But here's the thing: if you're in an airplane, how fast are you going?
Biden sucks.
You're going as fast as.
I was that possible comment was fucking hilarious, Vince.
But it's true though. Jewish janitor. Never heard about or seen that. That's like seeing an alien, maybe. You know what I mean?
You have nothing to base it on, right? So if a plane flies at 500 miles an hour, you got two planes. One of them's going 5,000 miles, and the other one's going 10,000 miles. But the one that's going 10,000 miles is flying at 1,000 miles an hour, and the other one's flying at 500 miles an hour. They're both going to get to their destination at the same time, right? So also, like the flight from Santiago to Australia, they fly at like 45,000 feet, and there's winds up there that are going like 200 plus mile an hour tailwinds, right? They're also in special planes that have layers of heat resistant paint on them. Why do they have that? Sounds like they might be going a little faster than they tell us, right? So add those two things together. Yeah, all of it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. So there's a whole bunch of videos there.
Well, the fact they don't fly over the South Pole was a big wake up thing for me, because there's so many flights that would be a lot closer and a lot easier if they just flew over Antarctica, just like there's, I don't know, 10,000 flights over the North Pole every day. And the answer as to why they didn't do that was they didn't want to disturb the penguins. And that I found so insane that people believed it, but it's because they don't want to go against their authority. Because guys, it is a little scary at first. Like if you guys are on this journey, like when you start being an authority in your own life and you're like, well, I get to figure out what I believe is true. It's overwhelming at first, but it gets very cool. And it's you live a healthier life, in my opinion.
Look at this image here. On a globe, Australia and Santiago are actually closer together than they are on this flattened map. And so if they just flew across that same latitude, that would be the shortest trip. But instead, they go all the way up and all the way down. And if they want to go to Western Australia, they go all the way up, all the way over to China, right? And down. But if you look at that on a flat Earth, it's literally a straight line.
Yeah.
Right. But now there are some flights that I believe that are flying out here, and they're catching those tailwinds and they're flying at faster speeds. So again, until you can verify where you are and how fast you're going, that's no place to look up into the sky where you can't measure to prove the shape of the Earth. And another thing, someone mentioned earlier in chat, Jay Widener's been talking shit, saying he's challenged me to a debate. Untrue. I've also accepted him, and he goes, not until you can prove, you say that nobody lives at the South Pole. Not what I say. There are people that believe they're working at the South Pole, but if you just go on the flat Earth map, and you go out to here and say, oh, you're at the South Pole, how will you ever know where the hell you are? Not until somebody goes from Santiago across the South Pole and magically shows up over in New Zealand or in Australia.
Yeah, that's never happened either.
Never happened.
So there's a few things that can get laid down. See, when I first put out the video, flat Earth erupted, and then everyone's emailing me, is it true, bro? I don't freaking know. I shot a lunar wave. How the hell can I know? And everyone's asking. So what I finally did is I worked out methods that I could prove it to myself. First thing I did is I took a hella long throw lens and my camera out, and I shot over 10 miles on a lake and instantly discovered within a second that I could see too far, knowing that the curvature was wrong. Then I began to seriously look into it. Now I'm going to tell you two things. The first is the work of Samuel Robotham, who took 25 lighthouses. And the thing, I grew up on the water. When the government certifies the distance you can see a lighthouse, that is a fact. The reason it's a fact is because people will die. If they know the seeing is good, they can't see the lighthouse, or they have to know how many miles or that ship could go down at sea. So what he did was he took the government certified distances for lighthouse and he proved you could see too far. The government sends a guy to debunk Robotham, and he honestly goes in thinking Robotham's a crank, and he thinks he did his math wrong. The first thing he discovers, and he announces there's absolutely nothing wrong with the math. The second thing is a response because it's all he could come up with. And he said, Robotham clearly cherry-picked the lighthouses. You have been told the truth in that statement because if there is one damn lighthouse that you can see too far, the curvature model doesn't work. He found 25. But if you want to claim back the God-given abilities that you were granted by the Creator, clear your mind, shut your
Biden
eyes, have a
sucks.
cup of tea, go outside.
Dude, these people
close
are
your
so
eyes.
powerful that they made us believe we live on a ball. What a load of shit.
Right? And I wonder if that was like a test for them. You know what I mean? Like an experiment. Like, okay, we've probably tried this on a couple of people in secret bases and shit, but let's try this on a global. Is it global? You see, even I'm saying it on a global way. So they tried this experiment. I don't want to say globally. Worldwide. Yeah, what is worldwide? What is that? Worldwide. That doesn't sound like a ball, but anyway. So they tried it worldwidely to see if it actually worked. And it did. It worked. Still works. You know? But there is still two different types of people. We're all brainwashed with the ball. But you, me, Owen, Dave, and this other guy, we could break out of it. Some people can't break out of that spell. You know what I mean? For some reason. But it's a powerful thing because they're installing a super big lie inside us all, from the get-go, since birth. A big fucking lie, that your life is based on. Your life is based on a super big lie. That's pretty powerful to do that. Must be Satan, man.
And imagine everything you've been told about the globe is true. You're spinning on a globe. That's spinning around the sun. That's spinning around a guy. Imagine it all and do it for about 5 minutes, then stop. Go inside, live your life for an hour or two. Then sit down, clear your mind, have a cup of tea, go outside, close your eyes, and imagine you are stationary and solid as a foundational rock. And if you have done what I did, your life will change from that moment.
Yeah, it's incredible. You go outside, all your senses are saying it's stationary. But they have this spell on you so that you, even though everything is pointing at it's stationary, you still think you're on a spinning ball. Like, yeah, I know it's not spinning at all. It's super still. But then the brainwashing kicks in. But it is spinning. It's incredible that you can actually believe in that shit.
The first time in your life.
That's like a hypnosis type of a thing. You're in a hypnosis.
Never made a decision about life from a stationary position because
Oh,
you've been on the spin cycle.
When you do that, when you actually, imagine all of the spiraling, you literally feel nauseous, then clear your head, go out and imagine yourself on a solid foundation, not moving. As soon as you do that, your spirit, something inside of you lifts up. You get this light feeling. You get this connection where I believe it's your soul saying, yes, finally, shut your ego off and listen. And when you make that connection, everything changes.
There's an old saying about computers, bad data in, bad data out. Well, I got news for you. That's been applied to us for hundreds of years before a computer was ever thought of. If you are in error about where you live, then every single decision you make will be coming from a place of error at its foundation. The thing that matters here is if it's not true that we're spinning, then you are permanently in a spin cycle. You have no solid foundation to make any decision about anything. You are spinning in imaginary space.
Yeah, your what would you say? Your sensors are off.
If it is true, well, then that's the story of our life. We have no solid foundation to move from. I would point out, for those of you who appreciate scripture, the Bible tells you the truth about the solid foundations of the earth not being movable, by the way.
Again, I will say it again because it's a valid fucking point. Why do we as toddlers or little kids need to be brainwashed about the ball. You know what I mean? Because if it really was a ball, why would you care? You can wait until the kid is grown up, But to me, it feels like it's not a ball, and you're insecure about that. So you really want to make sure that it's installed as early as possible into the humans. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you wouldn't because there is no reason for a kid to know that it's a ball. Absolutely none. I want to ask a Globetard this. What's the reason that we as kids needs to see a ball? What's the reason? What is it? Because if it truly was a ball, we would learn about it later and would be fine, Is it because if you don't install it quickly, we will be like, I don't believe it's a ball. For me, it feels flat, man. Yeah, you wanna reduce that, that discord, right? You don't want a bunch of kids saying, no, I don't think it's a ball. Prove it to me. Show me. You know what I mean? Like, because to me, this shit is flat. Is that why you install this fucking ball everywhere to toddlers and little kids and all that in school and shit? Like in elementary school. Fuck, I don't know, everywhere.
What they really mean, it says, the Bible, the whole Bible's flat. It's definitely not spinning Earth. It says that the Earth is made fixed and unmoving. And then people go, yeah, but relatively though. No. A spinning ball is the definition of not fixed and moving. It can't be the opposite of that. And so that's why all these like diehard Christians that are arguing against flat Earth, I'm like, listen, you can believe what you want, man. I'm not going to call you dumb or crazy, but you do realize what's that?
But you're going to think it.
Well, I think it when they're really angry about it. That's when I'm like, you're a piece I think they're pieces of shit. I swear to God. But if somebody's just still, that's their worldview. I mean, that's all right. Everybody has different worldviews, but it's when someone's like, you fucking idiot. I'm like, dude, read the Bible. It says fixed, not moving. Well, but relatively though, that's only from where you're standing. No. If God made a spinning ball in a vacuum, it wouldn't say fixed and not moving. How could Jesus be brought up and shown all the nations of the world on a ball? Did he have like a 20,000 mile curvy cartoonish telescope to look at Australia?
And I believe if God wanted to make a ball, of course God could make a ball, but God would make sure that you know that you're on a ball. That's the difference. Just as God has made sure that you're living on a plane, God has made sure that there is no confusion. This shit is still, okay? Yeah, this is a plane. Make no mistake. Make no mistake, you stupid motherfuckers. It's a plane, okay? If I wanted to make a ball, you would notice. You will notice. You wouldn't need NASA to tell you it's a ball. You would notice it, okay? I'm God. I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to do it in a way that you will notice, okay?
Like, that's retarded. It's just all so stupid. That's all right.
There's a lot of things in the Bible, people, and plus you got to realize how many times the Bible's been translated. Every time you come out of one language to another, you will bump into concepts that can't be translated directly, and sometimes words that can't be translated directly. As an example, the word Mazzaroth shows up in the Bible. That's the zodiac, ladles and jelly spoons. Another thing is, can you doubt the sweet influences of the Pleiades?
Biden sucks.
Right out of Job. Or
Globetards won't admit the Earth is a plane, and also they wouldn't even entertain the thought that if it was a ball it is much, much bigger than they tell us.
Yeah, they always have some excuse, The funny thing about the moon, you can never see the other side because it's spinning the exact same speed as the Earth, as they said in this stream. The reason the sun and the moon is the exact same size is because the sun is exactly 400 million, whatever, kilometers, whatever the fuck, away, and 400 times the size of the moon. That's why, There's a bunch of incredible, unbelievable, like when I say unbelievable, I really mean unbelievable excuses for their bullshit ball. It really is unbelievable. Like, you can't believe that shit. If
Biden sucks.
If you got a sane
Dude,
mind.
you can zoom on the moon with a phone now, LOL.
Probably, right? With one of these fucking phones that cost like $2,000. It's crazy how you go around with a phone that costs $2,000.
Biden sucks. Search up Samsung Galaxy S23
Are you
Zoom
serious?
Moon.
Are you serious? You can actually look up the. I thought it was. I kind of thought you was joking. Hold on. What? Don't. Moon Zoom Galaxy S. What?
The Samsung Galaxy S
All right, I don't want any fucking YouTube copy bullshit, but let me see.
image taken by the smartphone, and while it does bring out
No, not image. Photo. Moon at daytime.
at a loss for words, this performs out 125 times optical zoom,
Hey, that's pretty crisp, man.
all the way down to the texture of the craters.
Wow, this is actually an insane shot.
Well, the Nikon one to the right is better. Much better, though.
But I want to get it just perfect, so while we set up the equipment,
Let me see. What is this?
Blend it together with the
That's not the moon, though.
but be patient. Time is all we need. There we go. It's almost like we're standing on the moon. Wait, is that the American flag? A side-by-side comparison is not possible even with the 10 times optical zoom. You're actually looking at the moon and does some smart AI trick to a near perfect image. It only works around the tech between light and dark, and the sharpness is on.
Yeah. Yeah, the Nikon one is, though, way better. This one. But you think, what did they say? 93 million miles or whatever the fuck it is? That shit ain't that far, man. You would not get that image. You know what I mean? You would not be able to get that image of it. You know what I mean? Because if something is really far, it should still take a lot of zoom and you're still not getting it. You know what I mean? If it's really, really far, you should be needing to zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom, you know? You don't need that over here. Because this shit is close, man. This shit is close.
Biden sucks.
The belt of Owen.
The moon sure is pretty though.
Yeah, it is weird. Did you know that some people are saying that it's a reflection of the flat Earth and the rest of the area that we don't know about, the moon? It's weird. I've seen videos on it on Twitter. And they're like matching up the flat Earth map and then some exterior stuff from another type of map. I don't know. And it fits the moon's, the things on the moon, the textures or whatever you call it.
Orion. Well, wait a minute. You're telling me that the Bible recognizes that the Pleiades is giving us sweet influences? Isn't that about like saying astrology is true in a single
Biden
phrase?
sucks.
That there is something
Yeah, you showed that on stream before.
Okay, there you know. Yeah.
to the energy that comes to us from the sky clock. And this is where we are. We're waking up to finite detail now, and we're claiming back the ability of being an adult to learn without being told.
Crow, look at what.
What they mean by Pleiades is give money to Israel for another war that we'll fight in. That's what
Only if you're talking to Gideon, but he owns the hotel chain.
Go ahead, Wes.
The programming in the indoctrination camps is so insane. You know, from in kindergarten, the first worksheet you bring home is the orbits of the planets and the moon and the sun.
Right.
And then, you know, in college, I took 4 years of astronomy. I laughed at people that said astrology was real. That's pseudoscience. Astronomy is real, measurable, testable, right?
Yeah,
and it's all complete and total nonsense. It's the polar opposite.
Scientism.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ides of Apocalypse, it says, remember Edgar Allan Poe called out bullshit gravity and scientismos in 1848.
Good for him.
He went to war with those guys. It got intense. They tried to get rid of all his novels.
Should I lay down the solar system as I currently accepted, as observed by Tycho Brahe all those centuries ago, and then reaffirmed by Rudolf Steiner over 100 years ago?
Yes, as long as someone did just request that you say poppycock. As long as you say poppycock, then you can.
All right, what I'm about to say is not poppycock in my view, but here it is. I'm going to ask you a question that prefaces what I'm about to lay down, which is information that I currently accept is true. And I say it that way because if I learn something new tomorrow, that baby's getting thrown out with the bathwater. I'll get a new bath and a new baby, and I'll start over. Here it is. If I asked everybody listening, is the Earth is it alive? Is this Earth alive? Now, for those of you that decide the answer to that is yes, then let me ask you this question. How could you ever look up at the luminaries and not know that those luminaries are consciousness or living in some way? How could you draw the difference between those? Here's what I think is correct. And I admire Tycho Brahe more than I can say. He did what I did at a much higher level long before I'd ever really realized who he was. The first realm of spiritual influence is from the earth to the moon. That is the realm of angels. The second spiritual influence realm is from the moon to what we call Venus. By the way, Venus and Mercury may have been swapped in older manuscripts. Actually, I'm going to say not Venus, I'm going to say Mercury so that I lay it down properly. From the moon to Mercury, which doesn't match what you've been told, is archangels. From Mercury to Venus is the Archai. Now, the critically important spiritual realm from Venus.
Yeah, I've heard this, that the stars are, another, realm. Or gates or whatever. Now, if they know about this, the elites, they would never want to tell you about that. Why? Why would they never want to tell you about that? Because that would mean that you are a soul, right? Right? That you're not your body and you do not just live once. Right? That you will be able to go to different realms and shit. And then they can't control you like they're controlling you now when you believe you're only living once, And then it will also explain, like, okay, what the fuck is this place? And people will start to look into it and ask questions and shit. This bullshit space is bigger than, like, the reason they're pulling this bullshit off, like they need to pull it off, is bigger than we think. There's a bunch of reasons why they need to make us believe in the bullshit ball. Bunch of reasons that is not good for them if we figure out, like, you know what I mean? Like, it is good for them if we think it's a fucking space you can never reach anywhere. Oh man, the more you look into this shit, the more evident it becomes that they're lying.
Is the powers of the sun, the true provable light of this world that prevents you from living your life in darkness and has provided that life can get along here every single day. It's been here. And by the way, it will rise every morning without fail at the exact second it's
not rising, though.
From the sun to Mars is the spiritual influence realm of the mites. From Mars to Jupiter is the spiritual influence realm called the dominions. Now, beyond that are the ancient ones. From Jupiter to the ancient Saturn is the thrones of Saturn. Beyond that are things like the cherubim and seraphim. Everything I have just described does not have free will and does the bidding of the creator in a moment's notice, never thinking about it. They ensure that the will of the creator is instantly implemented. Now, beyond that is the creator. Within that, surrounded by, penetrated by, made up by, is the creator in this way of describing it. Now, if we come all the way back down to earth and we look around, we understand there's elements, right? The old idea of water, fire, earth, wind. Well, there's these things called elementals. They are basically slaves. They do not have any free choice. And what they do is they ensure that nature will proceed according to the will of the creator. This is why in black magic, you are told, do not F around with elementals. If you use an elemental using magic that in some way that is not altruistic, it will make you wish you were never born. That's why in movies like Sinbad, the black magician starts losing his feet or his arms start rotting off him or turning into a bird because he messed with elementals. For those who want to catch the newer versions of this explanation, go read Rudolf Steiner's Spiritual Hierarchies is in the title. For those who want to know the basis for the solar system that I just laid down, go look up Tycho Brahe. So there's what I can offer. And this views everything as alive and as a spiritual influence and as a luminary or a consciousness or all of the above.
If you think about it, life is like, from the get-go, when you can't come here, you don't know shit about anything as an infant or whatever. And the more you experiencing in this reality, the more knowledge you're getting, right? And that never really stops. Like, when we grow older and older, we're becoming more and more knowledgeable, this and that. That's why, you have phases in life. There are phases where you're into a certain thing, and then you grow out of it for whatever reason, and then you can't really go back, It's like with the truth thing. Once you learn truth, You can never unlearn the truth. So we are always, leveling up in knowledge or whatever. But where are we leveling up to? You know what I mean? But we are leveling up to somewhere, There is a point with what we're doing here. 100%.
Bro, you always talk about how there's nature doesn't lie, and that is the greatest truth. And look at your life. You're surrounded by truth. You ever go out in your garden and find a lie? You might find a weasel or some bugs or something, but there's no lies.
Which by proxy means that Owen has returned more closely to the creation and the creator, and having done so, and the things that he learns in his portion of the creation have been shown him by the creator himself, herself, itself.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like every day there's a new metaphor and that's super truthful in nature, and it's unavoidable. And even my dog Benny right now is like definitely on his last days, and I was crying all morning and stuff, but it's the first time in my life that it's not like unimaginably painful. It's like I do understand death. I do understand that it's part of the cycle. He lived a great life. And I owe a lot of that to the farming life that I lived, that I have a much, much higher acceptance of death now. Whereas, 10 years ago, if Benny were to die, even if he was old like he is now, I mean, he's 19, it's part of life, but it would have been crazy for me. So attached to this dog,
Biden sucks. I don't agree with the himself, herself, itself. God is much better the damn pronouns.
I don't agree with the they, them, zilf. Aha, okay. You calling God himself or herself or itself. Yeah, but you have to call it something though. In some way. When you're talking about it in past sense. Like, you know what I mean? You have to use some word. But yeah, God is not like
Biden sucks. Just God.
Yeah, I know. God isn't, there is no gender for God. You know why? Because it's ridiculous. Let's say God had a dick. Why would God have a dick? What would God use that dick for? To mate with a goddess? Ridiculous, you know what I mean? But I do understand, though, one thing when they call God him rather than her. But it could be her, too. But when you call him, it's because the guy, the he, is stronger than the her. So God is more of a he than a her. But then also God has lines that you can't cross. Like, no, you can't do this. If you do this, this happens. Like a dad. But you could also say God is a her in the sense that God creates life. Basically, God is both, man. But God is none of them at the same time. God is everything, man. You can never say what God really is.
It's just the amount of memories are insane. But death isn't bad, and I know that death isn't bad. Like I'm like pretty aware that it's
I think death is you will just transition. You know what I mean? Think about this. I've heard, when you get knocked out unconscious, and then you wake up, the one that's getting knocked out, they don't remember just before the knockout or something. They don't remember when they got the knockout. It just happens to them. That to me says, like, let's say you jumped out of a skyscraper with your head first. You would definitely get knocked out, right? Right? If you jumped out with your head first out of a skyscraper, you would get more than knocked out. But let's just say you get knocked out. But in this knockout, you're not going to wake up, at least not here, right? So would you really feel it if you fell from a skyscraper with your head first? Probably not. Right? Because you're dead. How can you feel shit anyways? You know what I mean? So I believe let's say you jump out from the skyscraper with your head first.
Biden sucks. Bro said jumping of a skyscraper would knock you out.
No, it doesn't have the power to. It's not enough power to knock you out. But anyways, so you're flying down with your head first from the skyscraper. If you compare it to getting knocked out when they don't remember when they got knocked out, probably the same thing would happen.
Biden sucks. What are you smoking, Vince? Good stuff.
I just have it built in, man. So if you compare it to the knockout, where the guy who got knocked out doesn't remember the hit that knocked him out, probably the same thing will happen when you jump out of the skyscraper. Some moment before your head actually meets the ground, you're probably already transitioned. You know? Just like a Matrix movie. You know, before the impact even happens, your soul probably already left your body into somewhere else. That's what I think is happening when you die. You will just, your environment will change. Fuck, I don't know.
For those that are still left, but you mourn and then you just keep crushing.
I was going to offer an old saying, cliche saying to Weiss, because I think it fits so well what he does. Those of us who are dancing have been labeled insane by those that cannot hear the music.
Did you say dancing?
Wow, that's good. Speaking
Like
of people who can hear the music, we got a lot of questions for you guys in comments. If anybody wants to support entropystream.live/app/Owen Benjamin Comedy, it keeps the gravy flowing. All right, Toronto Jew Bear says one more. Oh, that's second question. I'll read up from the bottom. Question for Crow and Weiss. What are the white dots that go straight across the night sky that they call satellites? 2 weeks ago, we saw a string of 8 of them in a perfect line go across the sky. And the space geek science called atheist we were with said that was Elon Musk's Skylink.
I'll give you my answer, and then Crow, you could throw on, as Crow says, the only thing that we can say is that they're lights in the sky. But going a little further, we could say what they're not. If they're the satellites that Elon has, which are tiny satellites at the height that they're telling us, it's scientifically provable that you can't see them. The angular size is too small. And if they had mirrors on them reflecting the sun, they'd have to reflect the sun directly at me and not somebody down the block from me. Okay? So,
yeah.
So we can prove.
Sputnik is like the size of it's like tiny. And the
basketball.
The claim they made about Sputnik, I don't think people understand how lumens dissipate.
What if they just have some weird ass craft or drones or whatever that is doing something up there just so that, people could say, but I see that thing going over there. That must be a satellite. You know what I mean?
Over space. It's so hard. Just go into your yard with a spotlight and just go down the street and look at it. Look at a car light.
You can't see small things from a far distance.
The analogy I use is a balloon. If you have a balloon that's not blown up, the rubber is the light. Blow it up to a foot wide, that rubber is thinner. Now blow it up to 10 feet wide. Now blow it up to 100 feet wide. Is there any rubber left? Is there any light left?
Yeah,
it spreads out exponentially, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use the law of the peanut butter jelly sandwich that I worked out for myself, so I can teach myself how to think properly. I'm in the middle of a desert, and I see this old shack. I can't see any tracks going up to the shack.
Biden
I go into the
sucks.
shack and there's dust.
If you can watch this next.
Okay.
Everywhere. It doesn't look like anyone's been there, but lo and behold, there's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich sitting on the table in the shack. How did it get there? There's only one reasonable answer. A human being made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and they stuck it there. That is the only acceptable logical answer. When you look up and see those lights, I will make the following assumptions, part of them undeniable, part of it based on logic, and part of it the best we can do. You are looking at man-made technology within our atmosphere. That's what you are looking at.
And whether it's real tech or whether it's a parlor trick, like a projection.
Right. And the other thing is, go look up Project Loon. They were openly caught. It used to be a commonplace video on YouTube. One of their satellites fell in the jungle and someone filmed it. It said NASA satellite or something.
Ashraf Punjab. https://
Okay. Right now or after this? This whole thing would be over if just everybody just demanded, like, listen, NASA, we want you to prove this without a shred of doubt. Yeah, we want you to prove this shit right now.
Ashraf Punjab. Destiny vs Zerka on flat Earth.
Ah, that's interesting. I don't like that Destiny guy. That's the blue-haired guy, right? Blue hair. I'm blue, double D, bow, double D.
5 minutes. Flat
Okay, so-
Earth. Is the Earth flat?
No, Raj, he doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to do this. This is the.
I'll do that. Yeah, we can do flat Earth.
Flat Earth.
Oh, he doesn't have blue hair here. Okay, he's okay.
Topic, final round, 5 minutes. Starting with John. Go ahead, 5 minutes. Good luck.
Destiny, why do you believe in the heliocentric model?
Because we've got navigation charts that have relied on it for hundreds of years. The sailors have relied on the Earth being round. We've got airplane pilots that rely on the Earth being round. We've got mathematical formulas.
Bullshit. We got a lot of pilots saying it's flat. A lot of them saying it's flat.
The sailors have relied on the Earth being round. We've got airplane pilots that rely on the Earth being round. We've got mathematical formulas, and all of physics is relying on Earth being round. In order to believe that the Earth is flat, you literally have to believe in a conspiracy that millions or hundreds of millions of people have been forced to buy into for literally generations, and none of these people have ever leaked or told anybody that the shit is all fake at any point in history.
Yeah, when was this? 3 years ago. So yeah, this was 2019, just before the you know what happened to the world. After the you know what that happened to the world, it's kind of easy to see that they can globally pull off shit like, faking the space and all that shit. And also, he said, what do you think if somebody speaks out about it? Like, what do you think? Nobody will speak out about it? Even if they do, it doesn't matter. You think if somebody speaks out about it, that will change anything? The sheep will only listen to when the mainstream media says it. The sheep, like if the mainstream media says tomorrow that the earth is flat, then like a switch, all of the globetards become flat-tards. Flat-tards.
And it is absolutely fucking absurd that you think that could be true.
So you don't think it's gotten leaked, and it didn't? I mean, it became popular in 2014. But you said airplane that flies over a motionless plane. Like Einstein said, the Earth is an observable motionless plane. Do you know what a gyroscope is?
I know what a gyroscope is, but the Earth is not motionless. The Earth rotates on an axis.
Oh, okay. There's 6 scientific experiments that all failed. I know what you're talking about, but you know what a gyroscope is, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of what a gyroscope is.
On an airplane.
What about a gyroscope on an airplane?
What does it do?
I don't know. I've never tried it before.
It measures the plane level to the Earth because it'll fight gravity, right? That's what the instrument does.
Okay.
So I'm wondering why you said airplanes when they fly 30,000 feet in altitude, and NASA says you can see curvature at 60,000 feet. Weather balloons double the height and don't measure anything. The only time you've seen a curved Earth is through government propaganda, NASA or Hollywood.
I mean, so we can believe that every single shot from space is doctored, and every single astronaut that's been involved with that are all involved in the doctoring process, and none of them released anything. The reason why.
Yeah, how hard is that? That's super easy to do.
I bring up airplanes because if you look at the paths that airplanes fly from one place to another, it's never a straight line because the maps that we see are flat, but the Earth itself is curved.
Right. You said you'd have to believe that NASA doctors their photos and fake the moon landing. Wouldn't it be interesting if instead of spending all the money to go to the moon, they fake it and make $100 billion in tax revenue every year from it? Wouldn't it be?
Personally, NASA has been criminally underfunded for the past 50 years. So if their goal was to make a fuck ton of money, they failed miserably. That's firstly. Secondly, it would be cheaper to fly to the fucking moon than it would be to try to fake the moon landing. We don't have the technology to fake the moon landing. How would you even do that? How would you fake the moon landing in a studio using the technology of the 60s? How?
And you're saying with the 1960s technology, they went to the moon before an iPhone, you fucking.
Yeah, because in the 1960s.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're saying with the 1960s technology, they went to the moon before an iPhone, you fucking.
Yeah, because in the 1960s, in the 1960s, we didn't have all the digital shit we have around today. We did have missiles. Listen, we shot fucking rockets all the time.
So you're saying they couldn't Hollywood fake it, but they have the technology to go to the moon? Number 2.
That's right.
Number 2.
Hold on. Are you telling me that it's less likely? Are you told no. Wait. You think that it's less likely on a planet where we're already firing off missiles all over the place that we can't engineer a rocket that can take somebody to the moon? But when we have none of the digital technology required to fake hours and hours of footage going to the moon, then we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. You said missiles. Have you ever seen the trajectory of all missiles, all rockets that go into leave low Earth orbit? Have you ever seen that they arc? That's interesting.
How is that interesting?
No. I'm going to ask you the final question to test your IQ. The most corrupt president we can agree with the Watergate scandal is Richard Nixon, right? So now, in my world, he faked the moon landing. There's a clip on YouTube where he talks to astronauts on a telephone. That would be a landline-based telephone, talking to people 200,000 miles away in 1969. Do you believe he spoke to Neil Armstrong on the telephone from the White House? Yes or no?
Yes.
You are
with no lag. Was it Nixon, right? President Nixon? Or With no lag.
Smartest guy on Twitch.
John, here's a question right now. Ready?
I'm done,
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
John, I know you're listening to me. Walk into your house right now, pick up a landline phone, and see if you can call your cell phone. Fucking checkmate, dude.
Yo, hold on.
No. How does it work? How does it work? It's not connected, is it?
Yeah, no.
It's not connected,
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
Tell me. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Right. 97% of all Earth Wi-Fi is done through triangulation cellular towers. We can both agree. Why do you lose connection in the mountains if there's satellites and stuff, right? It's
because there's not satellites.
No. Hang on. Oh my God, Destiny. You lose connection when you're outside of the grid because it's done through cellular towers and weather balloons. It's all on Google too. It is
all on Google. And I'm sure they've got special relay satellites that they have set up to ensure the communication exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
You believe in the Mars rover. That means you believe in magical space Wi-Fi that sends photos 200 million miles away, correct?
It's not magical space Wi-Fi. It's physics.
There
are frequencies that we can broadcast from really far away. How do you think? Wait, how do you think you see stars in other solar systems?
You're getting cooked. Can you please show on the Discord a picture of a star that's not computer generated?
A picture of a star that's not computer. I mean, I would have to crawl into the fucking Hubble telescope to show you.
No,
How can I possibly do that?
No, you said they took pictures. They would be on NASA's .gov website, right?
You can go outside when it's night and you can look up at a star.
No. I'm asking you the picture of the sun. Is that an authentic photo to you?
What do you mean by authentic, John?
Come on, don't do the wordplay, please.
I mean, you're telling. They're all digital images. The way that they're it's not like they give you a fucking Polaroid.
Right. So if I bring up a Google picture of the sun or from NASA, you would tell me that's a real photo, not a composite.
I mean, some of them are probably composites. Some of them are probably real photos. We could probably look right now. So we could look for real photo of sun or unmodified photo of sun. And I'm sure you could find pictures of it if that's what you really want.
I feel so bad because I saw you do a debate with a flat earther on your podcast and it's on YouTube. And I didn't even want to go into that one. But Destiny, do you feel like you're winning this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. If anybody knows anything about physics. Here's a question. Why is it, if flat earth is real, why is it that the one nation that was competing with us the most, more than any other nation during the space race, why wouldn't Russia come out and say, hold on, all of this is bullshit. The Earth is actually flat?
Yeah, so since the dawn of time, pharaohs have chilled with pharaohs and made fake wars just to keep the working class always kind of fighting each other. If you look at it, the Antarctic Treaty is signed by 52 different countries. So nobody can go into Antarctica unless it's a government kind of like thing. But it's militarized for a reason. It's the only treaty not broken for a reason.
Yeah, why do all countries agree on that shit? The Antarctic Treaty. You know what I mean? They don't agree on other stuff, but on COVID and Antarctic Treaty, they agree. You know what I mean?
This treaty has been held up this long. It proves that the Earth, they work together. The Cold War is a fugazi.
So why is it that when the Soviet Union was on the verge of collapse, when they were competing all over the world, you're saying we work together while we've got things like we've got Germany divided by the fucking Berlin Wall, we've got all these proxy conflicts around the world. The US is like, oh, we're going to collapse, but we're not going to take America down with it. We're not going to reveal anything about that.
What I'm saying is the Federal Reserve, which they print money, is not regulated. It's higher than government. So there are people who own a lot more than countries.
First of all, that's not even true. The Federal Reserve, the chairman is appointed by the president. What do you mean?
This guy is so in denial. This Destiny guy, he becomes like desperate.
Maybe I have a book I'm gonna send to you. All right, but Destiny, you know history. You know that 90% of Russian technology was given by the U.S. There's no way you believe in this Cold War. You do? That they're competing? Really?
Okay, so the Cuban Missile Crisis, all of that shit, everything is all fake.
I mean, a lot of the stuff the government does is fake. Yeah, I mean, you agreed that Vietnam was a fake.
This is you know what? I think this is the first time I've ever won 2 debates back to back because not only is this fucking flat earth shit crazy, but now you're reinforcing my belief that religious people are fucking crazy too, which helps our debate. So I appreciate that, John.
Are you distracting the audience by calling me names?
How am I distracting anybody? You're telling me that there is a conspiracy theory that spans the history of mankind. That every government agency is bought into.
If I can interject, you said spans the dawn time for most of human history.
He should have just waited a couple of months, 6, 7, 8 months, till COVID hit the world. You know, then he would have understood that. Oh, maybe they're all in it together. You know, even Middle Eastern countries was doing the same shit regarding COVID, like the West. It's almost like they're all in on it. You know what I mean? It's almost like they were all in on it.
Every culture and religion, they talked about a flat earth with the stars inside a closed system. But up until the 1900s, you can see it's leaked all over dark web and Google that up until the 1900s, Russians were taught about flat earth. This is a new concept. I know what you're trying to say.
Even in the time of Christopher Columbus sailing the earth, even then they knew that the earth was spherical.
Yeah, and he circumnavigated east to west, just like how the sun moves. What did he use? The North Star Polaris has not deviated even inches off the sky for thousands of years. If you're flying through space, how come stars never intersect? Why do star trails always make perfect counterclockwise circles? It's because
the Earth is spinning on an axis and those stars are so tremendously far away. We're not going to see move through the sky.
You see the excuses they must have. Like, the stars are so tremendously far, so it doesn't matter. They will always be fixated. Ridiculous fairy tale bullshit. Santa Claus for adults.
You're not just spinning through an axis. The sun is moving too, so it's an acentric model where you're flying through space. So
wait, John Zerka, if you look up at the sun, and you walk around your apartment building, the sun's not going to move through the sky, dog. It's insanely fucking far away.
I don't really say it'll move through the sky. I'm saying for thousands of years, the North Polaris has not moved. Right? So
yeah, because this is a star that's probably like hundreds of millions or light years away from us. Why do we expect it to move?
And now we get to the mathematician part. Okay, perfect. So no. So you believe that the truth is subjective, where if it's thousands of light years away, time is perceived differently. We who believe in God believe there's one objective truth. That's God, right? I have a question. If it takes, let's say, you don't want to talk about the Antarctic Treaty, right?
I don't think it's relevant to any of this.
No, it's not relevant.
Yeah. I don't think that because some countries have treaties around obscure parts of the world that they don't travel too much anyway, that proves flat Earth. No.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about flight trails. You discredit all the engineers and the airplane pilots that found the flat Earth through the dark web in 2005.
I'm going to go with the 99.99% of engineers and pilots that believe that the Earth is
closing statements, gentlemen. It's the end.
So,
closing statements. You have very short amount of time, John. Go, please.
Destiny, the word planet comes from the word plane. They added a T to confuse Destiny's dumbass because it's a motionless plane, right? What I'm trying to say is, if you look at how the horizon works, the higher you go, like all of the mathematics check out in my version, not yours. We have the scientific method with curvature, with constellations, with everything. I don't know why you say we're crazy. You believe in water sticking to a ball when water always seeks its level. I mean, like, it's never been proven. The only time you measure gravity is outside of your realm of existence because you say you have to leave low Earth orbit, you have to go to space, it has to be as big as Earth. You'll never find, if it's scientific method, you should be able to test it repeatable in nature, correct? So gravity is your God, it's your theory, it's a faith-based thing. There's a lot of things that are faith-based, but you're getting dominated. Go ahead.
I mean, I think we can summarize this whole debate with you saying that planet is plain with a T added at the end. Planet comes from an old Greek word, and it means wanderer, like wanders around the solar system, like isn't like heliocentric at the center of the fucking universe. I mean, we can talk about any of these water finds its level. I mean, like these are all like the same conspiracy theorists that have been brought up and debunked a billion times in the past. I mean,
does water always seek its level? Has it ever stuck to any triangle or ball ever in history?
I mean, if that triangle or ball is generating enough gravity to keep the water on it, then yeah,
right. And the only way you can measure gravity is on a planetary scale. So technically, you can't repeat that science. It's not real science. You can't do it in nature. You can't do it in a lab. Another thing, rainbows. If you look at how do you recreate with a scientific method a rainbow in a garage?
Wait, what do you mean?
What does it mean? If I have a ball that spins super fast and I pour water on it, it will just splatter all over the place, right? Like that. It will not stick to that fucking ball, no matter how fast it's spinning. It would be one thing if you're inside of the ball. Then yeah, maybe it would stick to the inside walls of the ball when it's spinning. Just like a fucking washer, you know?
I mean, we can't measure gravity. We measure gravity all the time.
We just agreed that it's on a planetary level. It has to be on a, so that the scale cannot be repeated in nature.
What do you mean? Like we can't make a planet? I mean, like you can look at if you want. We can look at videos. Wait, we can look at videos right now of astronauts in space that like pool water around a ball and watch it like congeal there. I mean, we can look at these videos right now.
We'll do it on your channel and we'll send each other 2-3 videos for like 20 minutes for debate. I have 20 minutes of my day for you. So what I'm trying to say, Dusty, is how do you recreate a rainbow in a garage? Rainbows are dome shaped because it is a dome. Nothing's left low Earth orbit. You recreate a rainbow in a garage with water vapor, a light source, and a glass dome. That's why sundogs, rainbows are dome shaped. They're not spherical in any sense.
But you can create a rainbow. Hold on. Anybody that's ever been outside knows that you can create a rainbow without a glass dome anytime you want. If you turn a sprinkler on, you can see a rainbow appear. You don't need a glass dome for that.
Exactly. And how is the rainbow appearing in nature?
The rainbow appears in nature because when light passes through water, the water causes the different wavelengths to refract. What do you mean?
The dome shape is being caused by the dome. That's why rainbows, small or large, are all reflecting off. If I ask you to recreate a rainbow in a garage...
First of all, it doesn't make a dome shape. It makes a spherical shape. A rainbow is a sphere.
It doesn't make it... Did you say a rainbow is a sphere?
Yeah, well, it's a circle technically because it's a two-dimensional plane, but... Do you disagree?
Do you want to lock that in, that a rainbow is spherical?
Lock that in.
Have you ever seen a full rainbow before? Yeah. It is.
Just say for the...
Yeah, a rainbow is like a spherical thing, yeah. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the gentleman speak. It's now time to vote. Please,
Raj, wait a second. What if the examples given in this very argument of Russia versus US and the conspiracy of the Earth being flat being kept hidden for the US, what if all these propagandas, all these false wars, what if right now we are seeing that same brainwashing happening on a smaller relative level, where Zerka is Russia trying to speak the truth, and Destiny is the US keeping the truth from being spoken. And this is a smaller model of the bigger model that we live in.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy fuck! What kind of squad W cocaine is that, Raj? Whoa!
Dude, did you see this?
Whoa!
This is why I advocate for education reform in the United States, because holy fucking shit. Oh my god.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Catch that, Raj?
you have heard from both sides. It's now time to vote who you want to win the rush.
Hang on. Destiny. Yep. Just to show you, we have the scientific map and everything, but what is the United Nations flag if not our flat Earth map?
Oh, you got it, dude.
Yeah, what is it?
I mean, they fooled you.
Now look, the winning poll, gentlemen who are watching the poll, please do not click the link and look at the results. I want to announce it to you. Vote, chat, who you want to win the Raj Royale podcast.
One quick question though for Zerka, okay? So if the Earth's flat, is there an end that we'd fall off?
Yeah, I'll ask the same question to you. Where's the edge of space?
What? The universe is literally defined as everything in existence. There can't be an edge to everything.
Exactly. So until we can actually go to Antarctica, I know it's a treaty, it's military zone, but we're either dealing with an infinite plane.
Have you ever been on like an international flight before?
So weird that you guys disagree with me, because Admiral Byrd, the first person to explore Antarctica in front of a flat Earth map, was interviewed. These questions, the clips on YouTube. I just find it so weird how you guys go against Admiral Byrd. You know?
I mean, I find it so weird how you would go against literally, 15 different scientific
you
disciplines.
mean government propaganda?
All education now is government propaganda?
No,
Wait, here's a question. John, I got a real question for you. Real question. If the government propaganda is so strong that we have multiple countries, we've got multiple academic fields, we've got multiple institutions of education, all these people are all bought in for 200, 300 years or whatever, all bought into this flat Earth shit, however many years it's been, right? Why wouldn't they just delete the flat Earth shit off the internet?
Well, that's the thing. When you search up
It
flat
will
Earth,
create the Barbara Streisand effect.
you don't get the stuff that I research.
You do.
No. You get a disc flying through space. You get flat Earth.
They rather just make it, make their own kind of a fake flat Earth videos and shit websites, pretending to be real flat Earthers, and then throwing in some sick, insane bullshit, stupid bullshit inside there, so that people think it's bullshit. They rather do that than delete it completely. They gain way more by sort of like infiltrating the flat Earth thing. Because when you Google flat Earth, as Flat Earth Dave says as well, is that you will get up this flat Earth society, which is that has been infiltrated by the same people that is coming up with the bullshit ball. So they gain way more by getting non-flat earthers to watch that shit and then saying, this is stupid, and then go back to the ball, than if they would delete flat earth completely, because then people would be suspicious. So they gain way more by infiltrating.
Society bullshit. You don't get the scientific method. The shit that I'm into is you'll never find it. Nobody will ever find it.
Then how the fuck did you find it?
Well, that's the thing. Before it got deleted, I was looking into, it was a Joe Rogan podcast. I said, Eddie Bravo's such an idiot. I looked into it and I realized, my God, they have the scientific method. They have engineers in the Discord. They have airplane pilots. There's no way Destiny could beat 300,000 airplane pilots in one group.
Do you see what my country has become, Manuel? This is what we live with in the United States. These are the people that vote for Trump, by the way. This is what my fucking country is like, right?
What? You think Trump is bad? This guy votes for Biden. And that alone. Listen, I don't give a fuck. If you vote for Trump, you're kind of saying not Trump, Biden. I mean, if you vote for Biden, you're showing your intelligence. You know what I mean? You're pretty stupid. You're pretty stupid if you're voting for Biden. Straight up, man.
I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada, bro.
Your country? Manuel's in
my continent. Sometimes we drift a little bit north.
Dude, I've got to say, Raj, I've got to say right now.
I can't even vote for Trump.
Go ahead, Train.
I've got to say to both Zerka and Destiny, this right here, what I just witnessed, I will confidently say is the best content I have ever experienced in the last 2 years I've been on Twitch, and that is
a flat Earth debate.
Dude, this was amazing. I haven't been more entertained. I could listen to this for another 2 hours happily with a smile on my face. This was amazing, and I hope this goes on.
Yeah, that guy, I don't like that guy. You know, he's the typical sheep. That guy.
Ashraf Punjab.
Destiny. He's a
They have another
typical-
one, but on God cause Destiny is an atheist.
Oh, that's another one to look at in another stream for sure. That one. Yeah, he's an atheist, right? That blue hair. Can you have blue hair and not be an atheist? Can you have blue hair and believe in God? Never seen that. I've never seen anybody with blue hair believe in God.
The balloon still, but Project Loon showed Google, was it Google, Dave, launching satellites with balloons?
They're crashed all over the place.
Yeah, they're all attached to balloons.
Not in outer space.
No. Stroud Jubear follows up. One more question for Crow and Weiss. I've studied the physiology of the human eye, convex lens, receptors, etc., and combined with personal observations, I believe there is a hard distance limit of the naked eye, somewhere between 40 and 70 miles. What are your thoughts on this?
I think what you're thinking about is helpful, and I would urge you to continue using this thinking. There was a point when someone tried to make the point that, hey, man, the reason Mars or anything else up there looks circular to us is because of the lensing of the tool we're using and the lensing in our
Ashraf
eye.
Punjab.
You know what? That is
Just want to say that this Zerka from this VID and the one with the chicks. That's what his real character, the new vids are him playing a character most of the time.
So was that his real character or the one he is now?
is helpful thinking. Whether or not it can be proven, this is the kind of thinking that breaks the boundaries of nonsense. What would you add, David?
Well, I'll add this. So we have this light here. This is this the sun setting? Is it the moon? Is it a sphere? Right? And as we look at this light, is it approaching us? Is it getting bigger? But you would say, hey, that's a sphere. It's a sphere. So if we jump forward a little bit and we see what it really is,
Ashraf
it's a
Punjab.
train and it's not a sphere.
Yakam energy. Very well spoken, not too loud. Not like the new thing that he's trying to do now.
Yeah, but I get it, you know. A lot of young people, they want you to be like this all the time. Ah, you know, like this. Because it's mainly kids, not kids, but, you know, really young people watching those things, like Sneeko and things. Like, I remember watching Sneeko for the first time. I was like, fuck, man, I can't stand his
Ashraf Punjab. Entertainment purposes.
Yeah, but it becomes like a clown, you know what I mean? Like, you know? But I remember watching Sneeko.
Ashraf Punjab. Well, XQC won that lottery, LOL.
The lottery? Excuse
Everything
me?
turns into a sphere in the distance.
Excuse me.
That's cool.
Love it.
All right, next up, if the moon is a map of the Earth, what do moon craters mean? Markers on a map. Also, what are asteroids, shooting stars, etc. for flat Earth model? We are living in a petri dish with lamps above. Thoughts?
There's a couple things going on here. There's an individual, or maybe more, I don't serve much, that has been working to show that the moon is reflecting truths about the realm we live in. Again, helpful.
Oh, yeah, that was
good for you. Go for it. Put your balls to the wall, go at as hard as you can, show everything you can, but let people try to rip it apart, look for flaws in it. This is the kind of thinking that will lead you in a direction. Since I don't know anyone else that thought of this idea, maybe it's even unique in our world. Secondarily, what was the second part of that, Owen?
Oh, what are asteroids and shooting stars?
From my point of view, the ancient art of alchemy proves where we live. The closest analogy to living in this place would be a snow globe or the sealed alchemical flask. From my point of view, everything that is here, all the water we've ever had, all the air, anything we've ever had has always been here. It's just alchemically morphing from one thing to another. My point being, nothing comes to us from outer space. In my current point of view, the firmament prevents it. Dave?
I have a bunch of videos on what about meteors and asteroids, and basically the big craters that we see here on Earth, they come from within the Earth, whether it's plasma hitting the Earth or a bubble, a methane bubble, but they're happening all over the Earth all the time. And they're geysers. You know, old geysers look like craters, and if you compare them, they're the exact same thing. So what's going on the moon? I don't even know if the moon is a physical thing. So don't, you know, I can't reach it. I can't go there. I can't measure. I really can't say, but you know, the lights that we see in the sky that they say are meteors, meteor showers. Think about this. We're corkscrewing through space, right? You know, 4.5 billion miles a year, right? We're going never to return where we were before. So, you know, this is the alleged motion of the Earth. 4.5 billion miles. Well, every August, second week or third week in August, we get I think it's the Perseus meteor showers, and that's because we're going across the path.
And it's so ridiculous. Look at it.
Where a comet had passed, and there's dust in that path. Is that path?
Look at this. Where are we going? You know what I mean? They just had to come up with the bullshit explosion of the Big Bang to justify whatever is going on with that, traveling stuff over there. It's so silly. It's silly, man. Like kindergarten cartoon bullshit. That's what that is. And we got fully grown up people still believing in that shit. It's fantastic, man.
Corkscrewing through the galaxy following us? I mean, it's so stupid.
Yeah, and this brings me to a question here. Carpenter Bear says,
Wait, one more point.
Sure.
But think about this. If we're on the Earth, different places of the Earth would see, like if I see a meteor going down, somebody south of the equator on the same latitude should see it going up from the horizon. No one has ever seen a meteor going up. They all come down. Down.
Carpenter Bear says, I'm not a flat Earth guy. I believe that God could have created a round Earth, but believe men have treated science as unquestionable religion, man's truth greater than God's truth. Reaction to question, man's search for truth entirely. God created a universe with orders. Yeah, but see, this is the irony of what you just said. The scripture doesn't say you're on a ball. In fact, it says you're not. And all scientific experiments show it's not possible to be on a spinning ball in a vacuum. So like when people say, listen, I'm not a flat Earth guy, God could have created a round Earth. God could have created a penis Earth or a boner Earth or a vagina Earth or a microphone Earth. It's like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It's like just saying God could have created a round Earth. That contradicts scientific scripture and Christian scripture and science. It's just programming.
Well, you're also making assumptions about natural law, which is the only true law that cannot be broken by man. And by the way, words have meaning, and ancient sayings have helped us comprehend how to think about what Dave said about the moon. The moon is the most mysterious thing you will ever look at in your life. There is an old Tibetan saying says, the closer the moon gets to the sun, the darker it gets. There's another old Asian saying that says, do not point at the moon to show it to me, show me its reflection off a lake. There is a more modern saying about the moon that says, do not talk to me of the moon, show me its reflection in a glint of a piece of broken glass. Wow. Moon is a mystery beyond mystery, and it has something to do with life and death, and it has something to do with being a reflection.
But one thing I do know about the moon is three Freemasons played golf on it.
Of course, that's what Freemasons do.
Big Bad Bruce says, hey fellas, great show. Quick question. Can we see Polaris from the Southern Hemisphere? If not, how does that explain it?
Twice.
So again, Polaris, they tell us it's 48 times bigger than our sun, or 46, but I round up to 48. And we can prove that our sun at a light hour away, which is 8 times farther than it is provably unseeable. So Polaris at 2 light days away, right? 48 times 1 hour, is provably unseeable, and it's 433 light years. So with that said, the lights that we see are here in the sky, like street lights on a straight road. When you're underneath a street light, that could be your North Star. And then if you walk down the road or just look down the road and say, okay, what if I was that far away? It'll just merge into the horizon. So the problem is weather conditions, optics sometimes have favorable days. And Polaris has been seen as far as 30 degrees south. That is tens of miles, hundreds of miles of curvature that it would have to see through. It's been seen as far as 30 degrees south. The fact that, Owen, you can't see my house right now doesn't prove that the Earth is a globe. It proves that there's something blocking my house, right? There's something.
I can see your house, right? I can see your house right now.
There's another thing to point out, Dave.
Yeah,
some brilliant people who did observation like I did realized that when the moon rises, it's an angular size that you can measure. When it gets straight overhead, it will be slightly larger, and as it moves towards the supposed horizon, it will get smaller and smaller. What this proves, beyond argument, is that it's getting closer to you as it comes over your head and getting further away as it goes to what you might call sunset or moonset. This has been observed with both the moon and the sun. The problem with the sun is the glare of the sun, but if you have the right tools, these are measurable things.
Carpenter Bear is Spiral Metal. He says, I have lots of arguments that are not answered by Flat Earth, and you yourself say that you have the ability to read the scriptures and understand them for yourself. Trinity discussion. Yeah, but when the scripture says that the Earth is fixed and not moving, how do you then say that means it's a spinning ball despite every discernment? Like in the Bible, when it says God stopped the sun in the sky, why wouldn't it say God stopped the spin of the Earth? Like these aren't like that's a form of self-deception. I mean, let's say it is a spinning ball, that would contradict the Bible. okay, which is okay. It might be a spinning ball. Go ahead. That's fine if you think that. But you can't then say the Bible backs up that, because it doesn't, according to logic and the definition of words. Now, the Trinity and all that stuff, it gets a little more debatable and hairy and all that. But what's that?
Let's try this. I give thanks every day that the Creator granted me the divine spark of life, free will, and He made me beneficiary of this creation, which provides everything I will ever need. In having granted me free will, there is a responsibility that comes with claiming that right. All these things that you want to know about, it is now your duty to go out and investigate them, and to the best of your human ability, try to rip holes in things to see if they're false, and find things that are not false by realizing logically or
Ashraf
being able to tear
Punjab.
them down is not.
The Quran says God has spread the earth like a carpet for us to plant and eat from it.
Carpet. Are there spherical carpets out there?
Possible. These are your responsibilities, and simply saying the Bible says this or that, that's kind of a cop-out. You have an idea of what the Bible says. By the way, it's called the Living Bible, which implies each set of eyes may take away different meanings from those scriptures. It is now your job to set out to discover what is true, what you will accept as true. And I would add furthermore, what I accepted as true when I was 40 years old is not what I accepted as true when I was 45 or 50 or 55. In other words, a tree taught me the truth. Every day I set up my telescope for 5 years, a tree that sat next to me kept growing, and one day I realized it. And I realized I had been stagnant, holding on to beliefs I'd had since I was a child. And at that point, I threw them all away, and I promised myself that I would try to grow every single day as the tree has showed me was correct and true within the scope of natural law provided by the Creator.
Crow, we don't know what the moon is. It's tied to women's reproductive cycles. It's insane. And people want to believe it's a rock floating in space that doesn't spin. It has perfect orbits. But here it is, cloudy night. If it was 238,000 miles away, it would light up all of the clouds in the sky. It wouldn't light up the ones that it's right next to. So again, what do I mean? Is it right next to it? How come an airplane doesn't, get above it? I think it's in a position that is, it's an apparent position. And as you move, it moves. As you go up, it goes up to a point. Like when we send balloons up, the sun will rise with it, but at about 120,000 feet, it's almost at the same level as the sun is. So
I would add a slight modification. I would say that the woman's reproductive cycle, as are the life cycles of men, are tied to the moon, not the other way around. In other words, I would point out that our lives are fashioned to the moon, not the moon fashioned to our lives.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. And then people are like, well, if the Earth was flat and there was a moon up there, as it moved, it would, it's.
That's interesting how they're basically saying the same thing, that the moon is affecting women's period and this and that. But the Crow guy said the same thing, but that we are attached to it, not that the moon is doing it to us. We are attached to it. Sort of like when regarding the jab. When they say you're unjabbed, or you could say, I'm jab free. Both are saying the same thing, but one is saying unjabbed. That means like you may be lacking the jab, and the jab is good. Jab free says you don't have the jab, and that's a good thing. No, I'm jab free. Fuck that shit. I'm jab free.
Its angle would change.
Ashraf
Well, that's
Punjab.
because you're not thinking.
I like
jab.
to use clean-blooded.
That's nice. That works. I don't got any fucking Lucifer substance in my veins. They literally said that the jab has luciferase in it. Just the name, luciferase, in it. One of the ingredients, Lucifer. Yeah.
Thinking of the optics of the sky. The optics of the sky are no way to prove the shape of anything, right? So if there's water in the sky, this guy is not facing us. He's facing straight forward. But if we look at, if his stomach was the moon, it's facing us no matter where we move across here. Now, am I saying
that's so weird.
Set up? No. I'm saying
That's a key point that you're showing, by the way.
Yeah. The
there's
Good.
I'm sorry. The Mbwiti tribe, which is supposedly responsible for bringing us iboga, had a method which I was just taught yesterday by I think Owen, where you had to verify.
That is so fucking weird that it becomes that way, right? On the sides of this fucking pool.
Things with 3 senses to understand that they're true. What you are looking at here is your eyes trying to fool you into thinking there is a true thing that you can't, you can't put your mind around. In other words, things are not always as they appear. And there's proof of it in the clip David is showing you. Now let's talk about the moon as a reflection on a lake or a glint in a piece of broken glass. I can't taste it, I can't smell it, I can't feel it. What am I left with? An illusion.
And I want to show you one more little demonstration I did. So I believe that the sun and the moon that we see are not physical. The ones that we see, there might be a physical component of them, which is being, for lack of a better word, projected. So I have a light on the other side of my sky sheet here, about 10 feet away, and I have Paige off to the left of me, and I said, Paige, where do you see the sun? And she points, she goes, well, I see it right over here. All right, but I'm over here, I see it here. If I move over to her point of view, she's looking at the sun right there. I could draw a circle on it right there, and I see the sun over here. We're looking at the same thing in 2 different positions. Okay, I think that's partly how our vision works, how we're seeing these celestial
Ashraf Punjab.
objects.
The guy who isn't shown on the screen sounds like a poet with those words, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, give us some more gravy. Show some of these videos.
Here's another one for you, which I like showing is people say, what about ships over the horizon? So my question is, if my face was a mountain or a skyline or a boat, can my finger hide my entire face? Well, if my finger was in the foreground, closer to you, I can hide half the skyline, right? Right. So we have no ship out here. This is we're zooming in, increasing our optical size. And as we increase, oh, look, there's a sailboat, right? Yeah. But as we zoom out, now these waves in the foreground, these little waves are going to hide the entire boat, because the little waves in the foreground are going to hide the boat, just like my finger can hide that boat.
I mean, that alone should blow anyone's mind that's into globe Earth, like just that video, because I've seen that with my own eyes, where you see a ship, because I always thought we're on a globe, because you see a ship go over the edge.
That used to be the thing every glober used to say. Like, that was the #1 go-to thing. Well, you see the boats. Yes, what about the boats? Yeah. When they disappear. Yes, what happens? Yeah, when they disappear, it's because the Earth is a ball. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, well then, I agree, we live on a ball. Yeah. Good job, now you learned something. Yeah, the Earth is a ball, man. Yeah. That alone, as Owen says, that's all you really need, really. One proof. That's it. That's it.
The fact that we can now zoom in and record it and show that it's not over the edge, that it's an illusion that's done by waves, that should affect people. But the fact it doesn't, they just don't want to deal with it. They don't want the ostracized. They want to be ostracized, called crazy. That right there shows there's no curve.
Right, but here's the other thing. You can't always zoom it back in. There could be big waves out there. And those big waves will literally block that smaller ship, right? The ship's here. Well, now the ship is tiny over here, and that wave is hiding the ship, and you can't zoom back in through the wave. But most of the time,
in the distance, there's hundreds of waves.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things. And then also, and this is one I always show, but just for those bears that haven't seen it, just for those bears that haven't gotten off the ball, you don't see me. You see the light that's bouncing off of me. Well, the lights that I have out here are brighter than the light that's bouncing off of me. That just makes sense. You understand that. The sun is the brightest light in the sky, and out here is Mount Canigou, 175 miles away, and you can't see it because the light that's bouncing off of it can't push through the thickest part of the atmosphere. Now, a glober will say, well, no, you can't see it because the top of that mountain's over half a mile below the curve, according to globe math. But twice a year, the sun migrates in between the tropics, and twice a year it lines up with Mount Canigou and that viewing place. And when it does, all of a sudden it starts backlighting Mount Canigou. Now, the very top right there should be over a half a mile below the curve if the Earth was a globe. And the only thing the globe occult clowns have is, oh, the sun and the mountain are below the curve, but they're refracting up and stopping magically at eye level.
Yeah, they're curving.
They're curved. Well, flat is curved. Flat curve.
A million light years away, there's no curve. It goes right to your eye, like precision.
Yes.
Well, the Grand Mirage doesn't work that way. It would show the mountains upside down. I've seen it plenty of times on the Great Lakes where there's a ship and there's a mirage. The ship is replicated above the ship upside down. In other words, the smokestacks are touching. One is the ship on the water. The other one is a mirage flipped upside down.
Yeah, no, it's just coping mechanisms. Hey, Wise, do you have that video of zooming into the sun that was setting?
Oh yeah, the sun fade out. Let me pull that up. But real quick, I want to just show you this one. Where is it? How come that's not going?
We should mention the double sun that I filmed because that's on film.
Yeah, what's that
Yeah,
about
that-
with the double
that's it.
suns?
This is one where people look out, and this I spliced in a water level here for an experiment. But people would say the flat earthers and globe earthers get this one wrong. They see the ship out here and they go, it's floating in the air. Okay, but this is just an optical illusion. This water here has wind over it, and it's causing ripples. This water here is calm, and the sky is nondescript, and it's reflecting the sky. So people are assuming this is the horizon, when in reality, the horizon is up here. Okay, if I draw a line, that's the real horizon. This is just ripply water and calm water, and everyone goes ballistic over this. This is floating ship and the Fata Morgana and all nonsense. There are Fata Morgana mirages, but this isn't one of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
and real quick, Josh had a thing. He was talking about, does the sun have to move? I could see a yellow street sign from, oh, no, that wasn't it. He said the sun has to move faster in the southern something.
yeah. So in if I go right here, so in the summer, the sun is over this inner yellow line, Tropic of Cancer, and in the winter, our northern winter, it's out here over the Tropic of Capricorn, and that's a bigger circle. So it would have to be going faster to make the circle because it's a bigger circle. And what I say is, I don't think the sun that we see is physical. So take a flashlight, point it 3 feet away from
Yeah,
you.
you know, in different countries, the sun sets way faster. How? How is that possible? If we're spinning, if we have a fixed spin, why does the sun set, which it doesn't, way faster in some countries? Like a couple of minutes. I think it was in Greece. I watched the sun. In 3-4 minutes, it was big, and then it just, in 3-4 minutes, gone.
On the ground, and then turn around for one turn in a minute, and you just drew a circle 6 feet in diameter around you in 1 minute. Now just move the angle of that light to 6 feet away and turn around at the same rate. Well, you just did a 12-foot circle without ever speeding up your flashlight. Okay, so the optics of that it's just an optics thing. So if that's how the sun works, that's a perfectly good explanation for it. So the sun fade out is a good one. I've actually added a whole series of them on the app for people that are looking for them. And I'm accused of Photoshop. I wish my Photoshop skills were that good, but where the hell is my sun? There it is. I actually filmed it 7 times, and I actually live streamed it from my drone to prove that it wasn't Photoshop. And the other thing is, people go use a solar filter. Right? And so one time I put a solar filter on it, and we watched the sun. It went down, 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 and it just faded out. Landed the drone, took the solar filter off, went back up, and there was the sun again. Use a solar filter is like put blindfolds on so you can't see the most important part of a sunset, which is the actual last minute. Up here, the sun was up, and in 5 minutes time, it went down, down, down. Now, if we were spinning, it would just keep on going, but it didn't. It stopped here. It sat here for 10 minutes. My friends over at the beach down here said the sun already set, and I'm just watching it, and it's just not going down. It should be going down at the same rate as it did from up here. And it just sat here, and it went away, and it took its light with it. Bam, gone. Here it is again. I'll go forward and backwards right over here. It just took its light with it.
Yeah, there you go. Just getting further away. But the solar filter knocks down 98 or 99%.
Ashraf Punjab.
And when I did that,
Am tempted to cook some demonic twisted pasta. Plain earth makes me hungry.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you do that, twisted pasta, don't do so much, you know? Don't make so much because you're going to eat it all. If you make a lot of that twisted pasta, you're going to eat it all. But if you don't make that much, you have no choice. You know, you just eat what's there and then it's over.
the solar filter made it disappear at about this height. It was like gone, couldn't even see it. So down here, and here's the thing: people go, "I've watched a million sunsets and I've never seen that happen." I was like, "Oh, did you? Did you do it when it was below freezing outside on a super clear day at an elevated altitude with a 4K camera?" It's like, no. Well, how would I ever have done that?
Seeing is observation of the sky clock. Is everything depends on the seeing. What's called the seeing. And in the dead of
you
winter,
gotta zoom
when
too.
it's miserable out, some of the best seeing is achievable because there's no moisture or heat in the air.
Oh, and you've seen my showing you how perspective works. Here's a
Ashraf
celestial
Punjab.
view.
You sounded very sad saying it, haha. The don't do too much. Trust me, I learned the hard way, lol.
Yes. Yes. It is sad. It is sad that it's so nice tasting, but so not good, because it's pasta, man.
An elevated view of the sun moving across its level path. Right here is a city skyline, mountain range, or just the atmospheric deck of opacity. I never go below it. This sun is moving level. Now I have a terrestrial camera at the other end on the counter looking up at this, and this is what it looks like. Okay? And if I showed you this first, I'd say, is this line level? And you'd be like, no, it's sloping down. And then I'd say, this, which is now at my eye level, it appears to be, but it's not. Is the sun going below it? Well, yes, it certainly is. And if I zoom in on it, it's even worse, right? Look at this line. This is a level line, and this is not going below this. Okay?
Such a no-nonsense example.
And it's at eye level. And now if I compare it to a real sunset, here we go. The sun is going behind the atmospheric deck of opacity right there. Looks exactly like that.
That's awesome.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Eat that, globe tarts.
That's all it's doing. That's all it's doing.
That's so interesting. What do you think the sun is?
Great question. Crow?
It's maybe an aperture, maybe. When you sun gaze and you get up to a long time of staring into the sun, it almost looks like a tunnel you can go into. But I was going to mention, I filmed a double sun. And at first when I did it, I didn't have confidence in my ability because I've
seen the double sun too.
Hours and only a couple hundred on the sun. As I began to do all these tests to make sure that it wasn't somehow refraction or something else going on, I finally posted, look, here's the footage of the double sun, which is in my movie Shoot the Moon. By the way, all members get free access to a 2-hour movie called Shoot the Moon. It's got 10 awards now. The last 2 from India, Mumbai and Jaipur, India, gave it awards. So here's the thing. In all the old Masonic woodcuts, if you go look at them, you'll always see the clouds block off whatever's outside of our world, but there's a hole through the clouds with light that comes in to power our sun and our moon. I suspect that the power source for what we see as the sun is outside or maybe on the other side of the firmament or something like that. That's possibly what I filmed. I think it's also possible that it's a reflection on the firmament. Anyhow, whatever it is not arguable, and it is not lens flare, which is proven. And by the way, other people have replicated what I filmed to Shoot the Moon. And by the way, I've had a number of people who were trained in Ayurvedic and other medicine types come up to me and say, yeah, didn't you know there's 2 suns? There's more than 1 sun. They say to me matter-of-factly, like it's something I should have known from birth.
Yeah, that was trippy when I saw that footage of and you used to and so how'd you show that it wasn't any other thing? You used
So I was shooting through a hydrogen alpha solar telescope, and I had a double stack, which shows surface detail and prominences really well. Well, surface detail. I took a big wrapping paper tube and I put it over the end of the telescope so that like 3 or 4 feet of tube were blocking the possibility of any light refraction. And then what I did is I moved the scope, and it moved like an object that you're looking at should move. And by the way, I found it in the same place multiple days. It was roughly 2 sun widths to the east and 1 sun width up away from the sun we see it with our eyes. By the way, many people have filmed a double sun at sunset. It seems to be as if in certain cycles, this is a thing you can see. And the other thing we noticed is at the time people were filming it naked eye at sunset, chemtrails were blocking the sun almost every day.
What do you think it is?
The source for our sun, another sun, maybe our realm is bigger than we think, and it's just the cycles where the sun from the other realm is cycling close. I don't know. I can only guess. Everything I can say is a guess, but I know for a fact that it's there.
That's some great gravy to end on. I know you guys have stuff to do today, and I'm gonna attend to my little doggy. Any final thoughts, or where can people find you?
Go ahead.
I want to say anybody here, I would doubt that many people here with their families are planning on sending their kids to the college system. Do not send them to college, okay? Take that money, do
Brainwash.
something good with it, and send them to Crow University, okay? Owen, I think you've been binge watched every Crow episode since we've met. Owen?
Uh-oh.
We lost Owen?
He's the master blaster. Without him, there is no show.
He froze.
Hold on. Let me text him. You may not be recording, David. Just a second.
I'm recording on my end.
Oh, then maybe you should keep going.
You're back.
News from the light
Can't hear
side.
you.
No, I'm back.
Did you watch Dave's latest video with Jacob? Wow. Hard work.
No? What is it? Is it good? Maybe I'll check it out tomorrow. Jacob who?
Am I back?
Yeah,
There
now
you
you're
are.
back.
Am I back?
All right. You
Now you're
better say.
I
You
didn't
better
hear
say.
that. My bad.
You better say that all again, David.
Yeah,
I
say
think
it
they
again,
lost it.
Dave. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I was saying that, anyone that's sending their kids into the indoctrination camps, especially the, college, is just really hasn't seen what's going on in this world. And I think, I call it Crow University. If I had a kid right now, I'd say listen to one episode every day, 3 old ones and 2 new ones every week, and then take the weekend off. And that's it, 2 hours a day. That kid is going to be more useful in this world than anyone from any college university. Now, if you want to be an electrician, if you want to be a trauma surgeon, yes, get that training. That's good stuff, right? But if you want to go into business or whatever, forget it. Forget all that nonsense. And Owen, you have been binge watched every Crow episode since we've met, right?
Yeah, I've listened to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a staple of my week. So that's there. And then
News from the light side.
Crow, you can talk more about yourself.
https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=wv17lz_ampersand list=sign www.xtxgbvsqjsk4yobo_c_wd_x_mu_kglx_ampersand index=sign 1.
Yeah, I'll repeat that. Okay, let me just see what
News from the light side. Sorry, LOL.
No, I could have shut it off, I can do that. But I wanted that to play out for some weird ass reason. But okay, 4 hours ago. Interesting. Let me just see a little bit.
Exactly. So I'm not going to let you gaslight me either. That's all you do is gaslight me.
Okay. So hold on. True Earth debate with Flat Earth Dave and Jacob. Who is the Jacob guy? Is it this guy? Hold on. Let me just see a little bit.
Awesome. This is going to be fun. Let me just start. So, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, because I get a ton of messages from a ton of people. Jake emailed me very upset that I have caused major strife in his extended family, especially with him and his brother who is a flat earther. I believe his brother has his own family. It's not like we're just talking about some young people here. These are 2 adult men. And they don't talk to each other anymore, I don't think, because of Flat Earth. And
News from the light side.
What?
He's the biggest globetard ever.
Oh, man. I should have done this, man. All right. This is next in line. Straight up. I can sense the Karen from here. It hasn't even started. I can already sense the Karen. Male Karen. He is bothered that his brother
Ashraf Punjab
has now seen.
Bro caused family drama.
No, that's not true. The truth causes family drama. I suspect this guy is not for the truth. His brother is. Hence the divide. If one is for the truth and the other one is for the lie, then yes, even family will be divided. It is what it is. But you will have to choose truth over even your family. Yes. Yes. That's the divide. Forget about left and right. It's the truth or the lie. Truth or the lie. That's the divide in this world right now. Okay, good news of the world. No, news from the light side. This is next up. And I think the other one is already over, right?
But where you can find me is you can get my app. It's called the Stars, Moon, Flat Earth, Sun, and Zodiac Clock app, according to Owen Benjamin. And it'll teach you about flat Earth. You can find it at flatearthdave.com.
Yeah. This one's gonna be fun. We love ourselves some action. It's always fun to see a globe-tard that is, fighting to not wake up. You know what I mean? Because it will change your life. You will have to do changes in your life if you accept this shit. And people are, they're satisfied with the way their lives are, They don't want to abandon their life and enter a new life where you might get, ostracized, or you might get thrown out of, the cool group, which is the sheep, I've never belonged to the sheep. I've never belonged to the sheep. So I'm comfortable with being outside of the sheep group. You know what I mean? I'm used to it because I've never belonged there anyways. But for people who have belonged in the sheep world,
News from
it's
the
very
light
hard
side.
to drop that.
Tooth and nail. He has the science on his side. No proof.
Who has?
Ashraf Punjab.
Lara.
Me neither.
You neither. You know what I mean? But for the people who has been belonging in the sheep crowd, they will have a very tough time letting that go. Because you're like, what? Okay, where the fuck do I belong now? I used to be with the sheep. That was my tribe, man, the sheep. No, I can't leave my sheep tribe. Therefore, I need to go hard at people that's trying to say the earth is flat, because I can't let truth enter my world, because if it does, I will eventually leave my sheep tribe. My sheep tribe. Can't be doing that. I need to stay with my sheep mindset over there with my sheep tribe. I think that's why some people get, overly upset and shit. As if it's your dad's company, NASA or something. What's up with that shit? It has to be that you can't let go of your sheep tribe and your sheep mind. Why else would you be so fucking invested and angry?
Punjab. See you next time, you Persian.
Absolutely. Take it easy with the twisted pasta. And news from the light side. Thanks for that one. That's coming up in the next stream. Okay? Peace out. And don't be a fucking sheep, man. Stop being a sheep. Bye.